Welcome to Gabbin' the Ghouls, the podcast segment within a podcast where we talk about the movies we've watched in between podcast recordings. Was that good?
That's really good.
Nailed it.
Perfect. We're doing a little special thing this time as well. I think we'll tack it on at the end of our regular Gabbin' the Ghouls segment, but not a lot of us watched very many movies.
So short, right? We need to.
It's really short. We gotta add more onto it. But what have you been watching, Noah? I know you've seen some movies. You normally like to go first.
I do normally see movies and like going first, and that is exactly what I'll do today. Firstly, I'd like to say, I believe last time we recorded, I said, oh boy, I'm really close to meeting my film goal. I did it. 420 movies. Let's higher than that now.
Damn.
I'm excited to hear what number 420 was.
Hot Fuzz.
Ooh,
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
It felt appropriate. We had just watched the Muppet movie and like the 79 Muppet movie.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I was like, the next film I watch, if it's not a repeat, is film 420. And we all thought for a second. And then Hot Fuzz came up, and I'm like,
We also wanted to kick the Human Centipede director out of your top 10.
Important.
That was it. Yeah, because he was in my top 10 directors for the year. And if I watched one more Edgar Wright movie, he would bump Tom Six out of my top 10, which was
hell yeah.
desirable.
Important.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Hot Fuzz. I did give in, by the way, to the Mad Max Fury Road itch. I watched it again.
Which is
and
the 97th time this year?
No, it's the 5th time this year.
And
Is that
he's
it?
about to see it a 6th
you watch
time.
that movie 5 times in one day.
Yeah, 5 times with a break in the middle. But the black and chrome version is on Max right now, so I will be
It's gonna happen
watching
again.
it again this year.
Man.
It's simply how it has to be.
I saw a post on Reddit where this girl was like, my boyfriend watches Oppenheimer 5 times every week. Is this a problem?
Post.
Should I be concerned? And people are like, yeah, that's fucking weird.
It's like 15 hours of Oppenheimer every week. That's a part-time job.
Yeah. So, Noah,
Yeah,
how does
that's,
it feel to be like that guy?
Fine. When you're watching one of the best action movies ever made 6 times in a year, who's going to stop me?
I'll call the police.
Now, the fact that 3 of those were within a month of each other, that's the one that we should be concerned about. But the rest of it's fine. Like, it's all spread around,
Yeah.
Podcast fans may remember Nina and I were watching the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Mm-hmm.
We were, yeah.
A ago, right? We watched the trilogy and we were like, and no more of these were ever made.
We're not going to even bother with them.
Well,
We bothered.
we bothered. We watched On Stranger Tides, which I have this memory to 2011, and my father coming home with the DVD to Pirates of the Caribbean On Stranger Tides, and we all sit down and we watch it together.
Yeah.
And I remember going, wow, and like just thinking this is so much worse than the other ones.
Now, was
But
that
I
the
didn't have any-
4th one?
Yes.
The one with the mermaid?
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a murder.
Okay.
I completely memory hold this movie. I do not have a single memory of it.
That's
I
because
haven't seen it.
nothing
I don't
memorable
remember.
happens.
I haven't seen it since 2011, which you may know as the year it came out, because my mom and I watched it in theaters and I haven't seen it since.
Woo.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I watched it in theaters, but I remember there's a mermaid.
So none of us have seen this movie
That's
in
about
the,
it.
13 years since it was released?
Yeah.
Yep,
For now.
Until
it
now.
As of
We
Pandora's
watched it
box
last
has been
week.
opened.
So
Yeah.
what's in there?
Nothing good.
Nothing. Is the
It's-
okay?
it's
no,
nothing.
here's
Okay, I'll say one
So-
thing.
you do your thing.
Yeah, the Penelope Cruz's character is incredible in that she is literally every stereotype you can like grind out of a Latina character.
Ooh.
Oh.
She is
And not in like
she
the
is-
charming way that Michelle Rodriguez does it, but like
no. She's
Okay.
no, because here's the thing, because she's like sexualized in a way that Michelle Rodriguez doesn't get either.
Ooh, true.
So she's pious. She was going to be a nun until Jack ruined it for her, and now she's sexual and she's angry and fiery, but she's also like got those big brown puppy eyes that she uses to get whatever she wants out of the men in her life, and she has daddy issues, and
Do you think
but she's
Penelope Cruz gets tired of doing this shit over and over?
well, that's why she hasn't done shit in a long time, I assume.
Oh, well,
If I
that'll
were-
do it, yeah.
That's not
All right.
true. She was in Magic Mike 3.
Oh,
Good for her. That does sound like it would be fun, though. That sounds like an upgrade to me.
yeah.
And then the other thing that I
Naturally, come on.
realized upon watching this again is that it's literally just Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, but worse.
Death is in it?
I mean,
Thematically.
A
thematically, and
sexy wolf man?
Jack is pretty much explicitly trying to outrun death, in the same way that Puss is. There's just no cool, like, version, like anthropomorphized version of death, which instantly makes it lose points. But they have like the different factions trying to race to the eternal life type of deal, and they have the sword fight between ex-lovers, and they have the fiery Hispanic, like Latina ex-lover character, except she's worse than the one in Puss in Boots. Just overall, yes, Jade.
What I'm hearing is that we're all better off watching The Princess Bride.
See, I think so, because I think that well, no, I just like if you give me a Hispanic man with a rapier, I'm like, hell yeah. So even if it's
a
an
timeless classic.
anthropomorphic cat, that's fine too. So yes, watch Princess Bride or watch Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
I've got
Don't
to
watch
that,
this.
actually.
Haters
I've
may
gotta do
be thinking, Nina, shut up. Noah's gabbing.
I was
didn't say
thinking
it.
that.
Wow,
Haters
that's
said
really
that.
rude and
Wow,
upsetting.
Haters said that. And
Damn.
I know
haters,
one
you
listener.
can't say that.
One listener listening to this podcast right now is going to text me when they get to this bit.
And say, I was thinking that, and then Noah said that was mean of me.
No.
You shouldn't have done
That's not what she's going to say.
that. Anyway, here's my read on Stranger Tides, all right? It is the Disney Channel made-for-TV movie version of Curse of the Black Pearl.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's also pretty fair.
Blackbeard
That's
has these, like...
Blackbeard is in it? The
Blackbeard's
pirate?
in it. And he also is like, he has voodoo powers. And we know this because he has zombies. He has zombified his, like, first mate and officers.
Does it sound familiar?
And what's really annoying is every interesting character in this movie is just a diet version of characters from the original
Yeah,
movies.
Blackbeard's Diet Barbosa, Will and Elizabeth are now the priest and the mermaid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Penelope
Ugh.
Cruz is here.
yeah.
She doesn't have a stand-in. She's
No.
kind of like Diet Jack Sparrow.
She
but
is a
Jack
lot.
is also Diet Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
Ugh.
There's a lot of one-liners. They reuse one-liners a lot, and they reuse
Yeah.
the score in inappropriate places.
Yeah, they're
It made
like
me
using
so-
themes that are tied to like the Black
Yeah,
Pearl.
They use the Black Pearl theme during a carriage chase through like Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that hello?
Right?
They use the
Wait. What's the worst use of a one-liner?
the
one that you're
like,
angriest about.
I think when they're calling him Jack Sparrow and he says something to the tune of there should be a captain in there somewhere. It was
Yeah.
really annoying.
It happens at least like 20 times in the first half hour.
Oh, because like
Yeah,
it's a fun enough running gag that people keep just calling him Jack Sparrow, and he's always like, Captain, come on.
It would be funny
Like,
if he had
that's
anything
fine,
else
but,
going on
like-
with his character in this one.
Yeah, okay. It's also just
Uh,
so easy to do that wrong if you lean on it too hard.
And that's all they do in
Yep.
this movie, because
Ugh.
without Will and Elizabeth to A, have chemistry with, and B, like, be the straight man, there's just nothing.
Yeah.
Damn.
So I want to still watch the fifth one because it has Javier Bardem in it.
I love Javier Bardem.
Yeah.
And I remember watching it with my friend Dan years ago, for something that we had been cooking up at the time.
Oh, that was
And
the
it
last
was-
episode of that movie podcast that you were going to do with him at the time.
Yeah.
That's right.
And it was
I
a
forgot about that.
truly awful movie. And I'm wondering if it's better than On Stranger Tides. Speaking of things that are truly awful movies, Nina and I watched Cowboys and Aliens.
Oh yeah, that sucks.
Speaking of movies I haven't seen since 2011 and was very excited for when I first watched them in 2011 and then never touched them again. It's not good.
Stupid enough
Yeah.
for fun.
Not
It
really.
was not as bad as other movies.
Yeah.
I thought
It was better
fun.
than Pirates.
I think Daniel Craig was fun to watch. I think Harrison Ford and Daniel Craig were fun to watch together.
Yeah.
Paul Dano is obviously, for the 5 minutes that he's there, hilarious.
Wish he had been there more.
Paul Dano never misses. Tell you what.
There's some interesting character dynamics that they just don't build on. Olivia Wilde, they do nothing with her. She's Megan Fox in a Transformers movie in this one.
Oh.
Yeah.
I remember I saw Cowboys versus Aliens in theaters, and I remember nothing about it.
Yeah,
That's
there's nothing
pretty
to
much it.
remember.
When rewatching this, every time something happened, I went, "Oh yeah," but I didn't
Wasn't
remember
the-
anything as it was coming up.
The aliens like put that bracelet on Daniel Craig, and it seems like it's just a tracker at first, but then he figures out that it's a gun that they gave him.
Okay,
Oh,
they
no,
didn't
he
give it to him.
stole
He put it on his
Oh.
wrist apropos of nothing. Also,
Oh,
they have
okay.
everyone. This is something that really bothered me. They have everyone kind of like zoned out and connected to wires or whatever, and people are getting amnesia. The one person they fucking vivisect, because everyone else they find is fine. Except for Daniel Craig's wife, who they vivisected in front of him and then like cremated.
Jesus.
Damn. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So that's his motivation through the whole thing, is that he saw his wife die in front of him, and it's like no one else died.
This is the outlaw Josie Wales, but with aliens instead of Union soldiers?
Yeah,
Yep,
pretty much.
and it's also
bad.
really bad.
Damn.
Speaking of really bad, because as Nina said, we haven't watched a lot of good movies recently.
No.
Right.
I don't want to be the guy that logs in and says an enjoyed movie is bad.
I'll do it then.
So Nina's going to say the title of the movie, and then I'm going to say it was really bad.
It was 28 weeks later.
It was really bad.
Yeah, I didn't like it very much.
There's
People who say it's better than the first one really confuse me. I
Yeah.
do not agree with that.
I think it's not here's my walking my stance back a little bit.
Mhm.
I think that there's still a good movie in here, but I think what the movie wants me to feel is a feeling I will never feel. And I am excited for the new one. I'm excited for 28 years later. I think that'll be cool.
Because Danny Boyle and Alex Garland are back, which is a big plus.
And that is a big one, is the original writers have returned.
Oh, were neither of them involved in the second one?
I think he got,
Alex
like-
is a producer.
I was gonna say Alex might clock in as a producer or as just original writer.
Not
Oh,
even.
okay.
No, he's not involved in this shit at all. Executive producers, both of them. Okay, yeah, Danny and Alex, executive producers. It's
Gotcha.
some
Okay.
real nasty, shaky cam shit. Like
It's really hard to
nauseating
follow.
action kind of stuff.
The plot hinges on several characters. Every character making really stupid decisions.
That's
Yeah.
annoying.
So
I know I've seen 28 Weeks Later, but I rewatched 28 Days Later, like, relatively recently.
for the podcast,
And
even.
I was like,
Podcast, I think.
oh yeah, that's what it was.
I loved it.
And
I loved
everything,
28
It's a
Days
good
Later.
movie.
like, from my brain, everything that I attributed as, like, really good and iconic about the 28 kind of series was from the first one. And I was like, shit, I don't remember anything from the second one.
Jeremy Renner's in it.
He is.
Unfortunate.
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that's a little bit clunky, a little bit weird, and the inciting incident is avoidable and pisses me off.
Is
So-
the
Yeah.
inciting incident not the fact that the previous movie happened?
No, because
No.
the previous movie ends with them figuring out that you can just starve them out, and that happening on England.
Oh, right,
and
right,
it doesn't
right.
leave England, so they're able to theoretically move on from this. So by the time that we start 28 weeks later, they actually have to find a reason for the rage virus to come back
Oh no.
because they solved it too good in the last one.
They could
Yeah.
so easily have just run with the thing that I assumed it was, which is that it didn't actually get solved in the first place.
Well, that's kind of it.
Ah.
Yeah.
But I watched a good movie. All right, and this is my
Okay.
last movie I'm going to talk about. No, it's my next to last movie. I watched 2008 Death Race with
yeah?
Jason Statham.
Statham.
You're calling that a good movie?
I'm calling it a movie that I
It's about
forgot
as
I
fun as
was
your
going to
average
talk about
Statham, isn't
before
it?
a different one. It was enjoyable enough. It's has no story, and it is a vehicle for watching cars with machine guns drive around,
So
which some would say could be the coolest movie ever, and devastatingly, it just feels like the poor man's Running Man.
it does.
Mm,
Because it is.
which is interesting because the Running Man was running because he couldn't afford a car.
Moving on.
Wow.
I want to say something about Death Race, which is that initially I only logged it because I was like, man, I was pretty out of it, so I didn't really pay attention. But I'd like to also note that usually Noah and I watch this TikTok series before we go to bed, Roll for Sandwich, and I fully
Oh
slept.
yeah.
We laid down to watch it. I fell dead asleep. I did not remember it, so apparently I was just really tired.
Yeah,
So I
Nina
don't.
was super tuned out for Death Race, which is okay. It is,
It's that kind of movie.
you know, I'm happy to have watched another Paul W.S. Anderson. I have now seen
Oh, that's
more than
his.
half. No, I've seen half of his movies now.
Oh.
I want to watch his Mortal Kombat. I do.
Yeah, sure, I'll watch that. I don't know. It was fine. I am excited to watch Death Race 2000, which is the original from 75.
Probably better.
I'm sure I'll enjoy that. But like I said, I have one last good movie to talk about. A great movie, actually.
Was it?
Some are
was it Fury
saying,
Road
some
again?
are saying, one of the greatest films that has ever been made.
I know what it is.
Of course, I am talking about Hot Frosty.
I knew it. Yeah.
Of course, of course.
Now-
Obviously.
As
So
we all made the
good.
blood pact beforehand, I watched Hot Frosty for this episode, as I'm sure we all did.
I know.
I
did.
watched Hot Frosty.
And I'm going to keep talking before Jade can weigh in, because we all know Jade watched Hot Frosty.
We all know Jade watched Hot Frosty.
I did this thing throughout the entire movie that I don't actually know if it pissed Nina off or not, but I referred to the main character exclusively as Michelangelo's Hot Frosty for most of the movie.
It did not piss me off.
Thank God. I had a really good time with this. Like,
Yeah.
an obnoxiously good time. Did not expect to enjoy this as much as it did. Craig Robinson and Joe
Trulia?
Joe, yeah, whatever.
Pretty sure
Him,
that G is silent.
Trulio, yeah, Joe Trulio. Both play police in this. They are the sheriffs of the small town, as we all know because we have all seen it. And
Yeah.
watching Craig Robinson make up songs on his little keyboard about how he's the iron fist of the law in town and crime better look out was so funny. Had a very good time with that. And it's just a good time. I liked it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Who's the director? Fucking hell.
It's another Italian
Italians,
name.
man. Fucking Italians with their hard ass names to say. I'm not even
Luca
trying. I'm not doing
Guadagnino? Oh my god.
this. Jerry, you did good. Thank you. It was a good time.
He does not usually direct this kind of movie.
No, I'm looking at this one called Psycho Girls from '86, and it's a woman with a big clipper, like head, like tree limb cutter, looking like she's gonna kill some people.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I have not watched many Hallmark movies. I don't even know that I have watched a Hallmark movie. And so the vibes at the beginning were a bit rough for me to attach to.
same.
However, like once things got going, I was like fully invested and was surprised by how much I cared about Michelangelo's Hot Frosty.
Me too.
I have a couple things to say about Hot Frosty. The first is that
You loved it?
I loved it. The comedy, they just lean into the absurdism, which I really appreciate. The scene with the ice cubes, where Craig Robinson and Hot Frosty are like both shoving ice into their mouths is very good.
That was very good.
I have seen some really stupid TikTok discourse about Jack as a character where people are referring to him as a man-child and basically refusing to accept the born sexy yesterday trope when it's a man. And I'm like, listen, I think that they try really hard in this movie to head that off at the pass by having him be someone who is really competent at things that, like, he immediately, like, pretty much immediately gets, like, a job, like is good at fixing things.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he like relies on the main character exclusively for everything. He does go out of his way to make her life better in any way that he possibly can. And I'm like, so I don't know why everyone is like, oh my God, she basically just had to deal with this man-child for the whole movie. I'm like, I think it's pretty clear that they knew that that was a way that the story could go and tried really hard not to let it go that way. And you guys are still putting it on there anyway. So that bugged me. But I liked the movie itself. I thought it was cute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I gave it 3 or 3.5 stars. Something
I probably
like
gave
that.
it 3 too.
You gave
Out of
it
3, of
Fun
course.
time.
2.5.
Well, yeah. Emma gave it a 2.5 out of 2.5. I gave it a 3 out of 3.
Yeah.
Nina gave it a 2.5 out of 2.5. You know, it's weird
Did
that
I give it a
our
2.5?
system-
Yeah, you
You
did.
did.
Oh damn! I might need to go back and change that.
I liked it. It's just it's like the slasher scale, right? Like on a Hallmark
Yeah,
movie
yeah,
scale,
yeah.
it's
How
probably
good
a
is Christmas
10.
movie ever going to get in broad strokes, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think.
Well,
you
Klaus
forgot
is
It's
a
a Wonderful
5 out of
Life
5.
exists.
I still haven't seen Klaus. actually.
I love how
Highly-
you guys picked completely different movies for your 10 out of
Oh
10
my
Christmas
God.
movies.
I gotta say it though. Klaus is the only Christmas movie I rewatch every year now.
It's really
And
good.
it is so
I'm gonna
fucking
rewatch it
good.
soon too.
Yeah,
I love Klaus.
Highly recommend. It's on Netflix still.
Oh, it's that recent. Okay, that's why I'm not aware of it.
It's
I
so
don't follow
good. I'm
the
excited to
new
rewatch
Christmas
it.
movie release schedule or anything, so
It's like
I'm
4
a
or
Rankin
5 years
Bass
old now.
appreciator when it comes to Christmas movies.
Who wants to talk about other movies that they've seen?
I think Noah picked every movie that we've both watched, so I haven't seen anything
Okay.
without him. And I have nothing to say about the ones that we've already talked about, so
Fair. I can
Well,
go ahead
then.
and hop in here because I've only got one actually.
Hot Frosty.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
per the terms of the Blood Pact, I will be getting sent to the Shadow Realm between now and the following episode because I did not watch Hot Frosty.
No.
So
We'll miss you,
sorry,
Jade.
I'm
It's
gonna
been
miss you
nice.
all.
I'm
It's
not,
been fun
because
and
you know
all.
what? I only talk to people who have seen Hot Frosty.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And the podcast.
But so as my final act on this podcast, I'm gonna talk about Darren Aronofsky's The Fountain.
Oh,
Yes. I talked about that last time.
Yeah, so tell you what, I had not actually heard much of anything about this one. This is not one of his movies that I had heard a lot of talk about the same way that I had with like Requiem for a Dream or Noah, perhaps, or certain of his other movies, right? But and I think it doesn't get as much talk because it's not as traumatic to watch as a movie like Mother or Requiem for a Dream or Noah might be, right? It doesn't have the same kind of like massive far-reaching impact in a lot of broader strokes, but honestly, it hit for me in ways that Requiem for a Dream kind of didn't. That's not to say that it hit harder than Requiem for a Dream did, because despite me not having enough actual experience with the subject matter of Requiem for a Dream, it's still, oh my god, it's so well told, right? But with The Fountain, the kind of story that is being told is so, I don't even know how to describe it. It's so like contextless in a particular way, right? And you know what? I fucking loved it. I'm honestly, if I am likely to start showing Aronofsky movies to anyone, this might be the one that I recommend to start with. I think it's a far more accessible starting point for his material.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, okay.
But with that said,
I
I
need
did
to
cry.
give it a try again now that I'm an adult.
I can definitely see how this would be a movie that would not have hit for me even as recently as like 5 years ago.
Mhm.
But right now, it really, really hit for me. And it's, typical stuff of Aronofsky movies, right? He knows how to hire people who put together a good fucking soundtrack. Oh my god. He knows how to hire actors who are going to do a really good job. Hugh Jackman and Rachel Weisz both do absolutely fantastic jobs with everything that they're doing. I
should
honestly,
watch
I
that.
can't
I've been on a
recommend this
really-
thing enough.
I've been on a Rachel Weisz hate run
Really?
recently. I've had a really bad run of movies from her.
What are you talking about? What? Really?
Yeah.
Really? Like what?
The last movie we watched her in was Constantine just recently.
And she phones it in.
I like her in Constantine.
I think she's doing that whole thing on purpose, right? Because she's playing that like cop brain ass character and all. Like,
Cop brain, extremely dissociated
you
psychic
can't act like a
character.
regular
So
person and be playing a character like that, right?
I like her. I like her chemistry with Keanu.
I like.
You're allowed
Don't
to. I
even
just
really
didn't-
know who this actress is.
She's in The Mummy.
You gotta watch The Mummy.
I have Googled her. I see her IMDb and the movies she's been in,
Mhm.
and I'm like, I still don't remember this actress at all.
That's super
incredibly
valid.
real.
It's time to watch The Mummy. As
Again?
it always is. It's always time to watch The Mummy.
She's also in Born Legacy, which is the only Bourne movie that I like, but it's
Jesus
her and
Christ.
Jeremy Renner, and so it's really hard to defend myself on that one.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's controversial.
I'll argue it. But it's functionally just because it's the closest to like a normal superhero movie out of any of them. So it's basically like, what if we did The Winter Soldier again, except this time we actually focused on the psychological treatment of the main character instead of glazing over it. And that's why I like it.
Mhm.
That's all I got.
It did give us the banger line, Jesus Christ, that's Jason Bourne.
Oh, that's the one that one comes from? Nice.
No, that
No.
one's in I think all the other ones except that one because Jason Bourne's not in Bourne Legacy.
Oh, so is
Yeah,
that the
he
one
is.
that has Will You Commit
He's
to This
not. He's
Program?
literally
Or-
in there
He
like
shows up a little bit,
he's in like CCTV footage.
and they go,
like,
Jesus
isn't he
Christ,
always?
that's Jason Bourne.
Anyway, I don't want to talk about the Bourne movies because I really don't like them.
The Fountain, though. I
no,
love
Yeah.
it.
yeah.
It was really, really good.
Iconic, incredible.
Yeah, I'm
Perfect.
gonna keep watching Aronofsky movies no matter how much it hurts because they just
Hell yeah.
keep being this good. Jesus.
Yeah.
You know?
Hell yeah.
For me,
Mhm.
I haven't watched much since last time. I've been reading a lot since then, which by the way, starting a new series for the website where I go into bookstores and I do a random number generator to get a letter of the alphabet, and then I'll pick a horror book from an author who has like a last name that starts with that letter.
Fun
think
stuff.
That's a lot of fun.
And for this first one, I picked A Sunny Place for Shady People by Mariana Enriquez. She's
That sounds
an
fun.
Argentinian writer. And it's a collection of short stories by her, and I've finished the first one, and I'm excited to continue reading.
I love a good
But-
short story anthology.
Yeah, so I've been reading that. I've been reading a lot of manga. I'm reading a book called James for my brother's book club, and that's kept me busy. But
Nice.
I did watch Hot Frosty, obviously, because that
course.
was something
As
we,
we
all
all did.
swore on our firstborn that we would watch. But then I also watched a TV show called The Penguin.
Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
I keep hearing good
Yeah.
things.
It was very good. Shout out to my friend Eric. He was like, "Oh, have you
Penguin?
watched The Penguin?" And I was like, "No, I don't have Max right now." And he was like, "Oh, just use my account." And I was like, "Okay."
Hell
So
yeah. Thanks, Eric.
thank you for letting me watch The Penguin. It is very, very good. I have only seen the new Batman movie once prior to like this week. I watched it in theaters,
Yeah, I gotta watch that shit.
and
again.
it was something where I was like, I really enjoyed the ride I went on for this like movie in this movie theater experience, but I was like, I don't know how much I want to rewatch it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a very well done movie, and I really enjoyed it at the time. And then I didn't think I'd be very interested in like a Joker TV show, but then obviously the conversations around the show online have been staggeringly positive, and so I was interested. And then actually getting to watch it, it is very well done. It's extremely well done, even.
Nice.
It makes me very excited for what they do next in that Batman universe and how they kind of progress that forward. But yeah, highly recommend. And that caused me to watch the Batman movie again, which is still
Nice.
good.
I'm gonna make my mom
Too
watch it
bad.
over Christmas, I think, because I'm like, it's really good, and she's like, oh, I heard it was good, and I'm like, it's really good. It's really
Maybe
good.
go watch it.
Noah and I spent like
Yeah.
20 minutes just talking about how good we think it is today.
Also, as a guy who hasn't seen The Penguin, everything I've heard about the movie, I relayed this to Nina.
The Penguin about the TV series?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that you watch the show, and not only does the show not make Oz into like an anti-hero nice guy for you to root behind, but you pretty much just finish the show going, holy shit, this guy's a menace. Batman needs to stop this guy.
Yeah.
Is this true?
It's a weird middle ground. I don't know. He's not watching it. He's one of those characters where like, this guy is not really a bad guy, or this guy is not really a good guy. He's doing kind of scummy things. He's backstabbing people a lot. He's definitely after his own self-interests, but he is a very like fleshed out character, and he's an extremely intriguing character. And it's just real good. I don't want to say too much.
I'm so
I want
excited.
you to watch it.
I'm very excited to watch it.
But
I'm
yeah,
also excited
that's
to
all
watch
I've watched.
Batman again, because in my mind, the Batman 2022 is a Christmas movie.
Why?
I don't know.
I guess
It doesn't happen around
Ye-
Christmas either. It's just like, for
No.
whatever reason, it's burrowed into my head.
it released
as a,
in like January, I think.
That's not even it. No, it's just in my mind. It's like, yeah, this is a Christmas movie. Actually, when did that release?
Well, I don't want to ruin your illusions of Batman being a Christmas movie.
I think any Batman movie can be a Christmas
March.
movie if you believe.
It was in March
Yeah.
of 22.
Yeah. I had a very weird experience right before seeing that movie. I was staying at my brother's house and sleeping over because we were going to go see the movie early in the
Haunted
morning.
House.
The haunted house, and I had a haunted experience right before seeing the Batman. It was great.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Okay, well, so with our Ghouls Gabbed, since this is our final podcast of the year, we're gonna do a little retrospective. We're gonna do some of us are maybe doing like top 5 movies of the year. Others are just kind of highlighting some movies they really loved this year, and we're just gonna kind of go at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nina, you talked. Why don't you tell us about your favorite movies of the year?
Yeah,
Yeah, Nina, get
so
fucked. You go
actually,
first.
this is great that I'm going first because I'm not gonna do that. I'm I watched a lot of movies in theaters and I gabbed a lot of ghouls, but I want to talk about movies that I don't think I really gave my true feelings on when I did gab them. I mean, or maybe I
Yeah.
did, and I just want to talk about them again.
Wait. Not giving your true. How often do you lie about your ghouls?
It's not that I lie, Jade. It's
Well,
that
I don't know, you've apparently lied
do
about
lie a
movies
lot.
an awful lot. So I don't
me
even
and
know
Kate
what to
Siegel
expect at
are
this
like
point.
this because because we both lie to people we love about movies that we say that we've watched. And the fact that she's done it to Mike Flanagan makes me feel so much better about
I
myself.
wish I was lying to Mike Flanagan about which movies I've seen.
Yeah.
Me too.
I wish that Kate Siegel was my wife and was lying to me about movies she'd seen. I could be either of them and be happy.
If Kate Siegel was my wife, she could lie to me about anything she wanted.
Literally. Anyway, enough of that. I watched a lot of movies this year. I do not feel like I talked about The First Omen enough, especially after watching Immaculate, because we watched both of them. And I had a friend who, after I watched The First Omen, kept telling me I had to watch Immaculate. So I did, and I really didn't like it as much as I liked The First Omen. And that's because I really, really liked The First Omen. It had some problems. I think that some of the kind of the ending and some of the like character moments felt a little bit MCU, like Avengers Assembly, especially the ending. It felt like they were like leaving some things open because it is in fact a prequel movie, and they were doing some things with characters who survived where it's like, and then they lived happily ever after, but they could come back if we want them to. But literally, other than that, a lot of the stuff that it did, as far as I watched a weird amount of pregnancy movies this year, and I think this was my favorite one because it dealt with it dealt with a lot of things that weren't pregnancy that I appreciated. It dealt with a lot of things having to do with being a woman who doesn't fit in with the church. It does, a lot of things that I've written about in the book that I wrote, where it's like, the main character doesn't fit into the church. She has a lot of past that she doesn't want to talk about. She does things that the church doesn't want her to do. She runs into another misfit girl, and she is the only one who seems to care enough to treat that other girl with kindness. And then she's the one who gets quote unquote chosen for something, and other people are kind of like annoyed with it in a way that's really compelling. Versus in Immaculate, the main character is kind of just perfect in a lot of ways, and she's just kind of like carted through the story, and her fears aren't really interrogated, and her feelings about what she's going through don't seem to be a focus as much. So and then obviously the score and the visuals in First Omen were amazing. So I would say even I want to rewatch it still because it was really good, but having watched a lot of pregnancy movies after it, that was the first one I watched. I think it was still the best one.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I was very surprised.
Me too. Oh yeah, I was like, oh, this is a prequel to an iffy series. It's probably not going to be that great.
I didn't want to watch it at all, and I was wrong.
I'm so glad we did. What else? Longlegs. Did I even talk about Longlegs that much at all?
Not all that much, I don't think. Because when you watched it, I hadn't yet, and you knew how excited I was.
Have you seen it now?
Oh yes, I caught it in theaters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I'm not gonna miss my boy Oz. Come on.
Of course not. So here's the thing, and this is maybe a hot take. The longer I've sat with it, the less I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I liked it pretty well in theaters, but I do think that it just lacked some depth that I wish it had had. I guess some of the like details were really fun, but I do feel like it simultaneously left a lot up to the audience to interpret, while also for certain things really bashing the audience over the head with it. It was a really weird mix to me. So that's really where I've been left, is that I liked a lot of the characters. I liked a lot of what it could have done, but I wish that it had spent time that it spent over explaining itself, taking some of those things that it was hinting at and just developing on them a little more.
Yeah, I see all of that. Yeah. It kind of feels like it does an unfortunate amount of like light Moffating, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just kind of like pointing at stuff that it never ends up really doing much with. Yeah.
And it's really interesting stuff, like specifically some of the stuff that they have with like the dolls and shit, where I'm like, some of the things that they refer to and hint to through characters that I would think would want to keep interrogating what they're discovering. And then the characters just kind of let that thread go. And I'm like, oh, damn, I really thought that even if we didn't get an answer, we were at least going to get more. Visually, it was gorgeous.
Of course.
The characters were really fun. So I think I've just kind of mellowed on it with time.
Valid.
Very fair.
And then in the opposite direction, the more I think about Alien Romulus, the more I really, really, really love it. I really just wish they hadn't done the AI reconstruction of Ian Somerhalder. That's who it was, right?
Ian Ford.
Ian Somerhalder's that guy from Lost.
Ian Somerhalder's the guy from... Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
You're right, Noah.
I don't know who the other guy is.
Ian,
but...
and then my brain went. But yeah, I think it just... if that had not been there, perfect movie. And I love so many of the other things that movie did that I just find myself getting more and more frustrated with that one mistake. Because it's like, how can you have so much artistic integrity to like build all of these interesting sets and locations and these characters and everything interesting and tell this interesting story, but you can't work around one character being dead in an interesting way? There are other things that you could have done with that story that would have been more interesting than it looks like the guy from the first movie. That's such a like fan servicey thing to do that was not necessary and overall corrupted an otherwise like gorgeous movie. So I've just gotten more pissed about that.
We do live in a bit of a fan service era, unfortunately.
We do. And it's really upsetting because I'd love to see more things that are original. But speaking of original things, the last thing I'm going to talk about is Megalopolis, because that's a movie that has also kind of aged in my mind since the time that I saw it, and unfortunately
Already?
I did not like it when I like came out of it. I was like, I don't think I liked that very much. I cannot stop quoting this fucking movie. I cannot
know.
stop.
You have mentioned that you've done it a lot around all of us, and we just haven't noticed yet.
No, you've not. And I will continue to do so because I think
It's very funny.
it's very funny. The way
Yes.
Yes. The way they deliver dialogue is so funny, and there are so many little like repeated gags or just like one-off lines that people say that are just so interesting. I know when I was initially watching it, there was a moment where my brain clicked and I was like, I'm watching a play right now, but it was cyclical where it was like sometimes the movie would just be so normal and like such a like a movie that then when they'd hop back into this weird like stage play style of dialogue or blocking, I'd have to remember that like, oh, this movie is really trying to like, it's really playing in a stage play kind of way. So I really, really want to rewatch it as well, knowing where it's going. And I think that while I still don't think it's a good movie, it might just be a great movie to me personally because I love to quote it so much. So I think everyone should watch it.
Since there was a movie where like watching it, I was like, this is terrible and like really weird, and I don't enjoy this. But then once you get out, you just start quoting it with the people who have seen it, and your like opinion on the movie changes drastically.
Yeah.
Like I had that experience with Napoleon Dynamite. I had it with
Yeah, I can see that.
some of the Will Ferrell movies.
Oh, sure.
Of
quote driven
like they're just so like weird and quotable that they get a second life like days after you see it in a movie theater.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to watch Megalopolis eventually.
Same.
It's
gonna happen, and then I'll be able to be like, go back to the club and like do all the good lines.
Yeah, I am excited for people to potentially retroactively get stupid shit that I've said, and at the very least, moving forward, get stupid shit that I will continue to say.
One of the best lines is when Giancarlo Esposito reminds us that his name is Frank, short for Francis, not Franklin. Apropos of nothing. There's no reason for that line to be in the movie. Like, it's such a contrived moment where it's just like, Francis, how much of an issue do you have in your normal life that you put this in your movie to make sure people remember your name is Francis Ford Coppola? Who's saying anything else?
I mean, I don't know about you, but one of my favorite movie directors of all time is Franklin Ford Coppola.
He is on his way to our recording location right now.
Thank God, I got some questions
Franklin
about
is?
Megalopolis.
Holy shit.
One of us needs to get into the Actors Guild where you have to register your name and then just register your name as Franklin Ford Coppola.
Well, it'd be the Directors Guild, wouldn't it?
Are they different guilds?
Okay, all right. So follow me on this. One of us does this in the Directors Guild. Another of us does this in the Writers Guild. Another of us does this in the Actors Guild. So then we make a movie together, and it's written, directed, and starring Franklin Ford Coppola, but it's three different people.
Yes.
We have to do this.
Yes.
And the movie is called Franklin Ford Coppola. What's it about?
An autobiography.
It's an autobiography of Franklin Ford Coppola, this fictional character that we have created.
I'm so sold.
I'm in.
Crowdfund us. We will be making this movie right after I make my medieval wolf cop movie.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Crowdfund that one
with
too.
An E at the end.
No, it's Night Wolf with a K.
Oh, that's right.
Nice.
That's very good. I forgot about that. Anyway, that's all the movies I wanted to talk about. It's just movies that I don't remember talking about very much on the podcast because I know that I gushed about Love Lies Bleeding and Challengers and Abigail, obviously. So,
and we will all gush again.
And we will.
Y'all mind if I go next?
Go for it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna steal Nina's first one and talk about The First Omen again. I didn't want to say anything during Nina's because I know some of
So-
our points overlap.
Real quick,
But,
Noah, are you doing
yes.
a top 5 of the year? Or
I am doing-
What are you doing?
I don't think this is not my top 5 of the year because I think my top 5 of the year would be like, it would be Furiosa, Challengers, Love Lies Bleeding, other shit like that. I am doing 5 movies that I think are worth talking about.
See, I would have predicted
Okay.
that your top 5 would be Megalopolis, Love Lies Bleeding, Challengers, Megalopolis.
Yeah.
Someone forgot I
Furiosa
saw
has to be
Furiosa
in there.
3 times in theaters.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
All right, so first I want to talk about The First Omen, which I walked in huge hater, ready to not like this movie, but everyone kept saying it was so good. And I'm like, well, how good could it be? Blah, 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 blah. As it turns out, very fucking good. And the main reason I want to bring this up is this is a movie that, to quote Twitter Brandon, because I don't have anything from him for our real movie, this is a movie that looks like a movie. It's like gorgeous. Whatever they did with their film makes it look so fucking classic and like
The contrast, the colors
the contrast
are so
and
rich.
the colors are gorgeous. It looks like something, it's like shot like something at points out of the 80s. But here it is now. The fucking sets
Oh, hell yeah.
amazing.
I love
Some of the
dated
imagery
camera
is
work.
so good. There is a fucking candelabra setup that looks, because of the dripping wax, like big pointed teeth, and there's 2 burning lanterns above it. Makes it look like a flaming mouth around our main character. It's so good, right? And the number of reviews I see for this movie by people who I think really need to get their heads out of their asses, talking about how this movie ripped off Immaculate because Immaculate came out 1 month before this did. And they happen to be very similar plots. And it drives me crazy for a couple of reasons. Not the least of which being Immaculate's not good.
Immaculate's not
Immaculate's
good.
fine. It's a fun time. And if it hadn't come out within a month of The First Omen, I'd even say it was pretty solid.
Mhm.
But between the two, there is a clear winner for me. And it's the one that takes the religion more seriously. It's the one that takes our characters more seriously. It doesn't fast forward through what's happening. You actually just continue to build up your concern for the situation in a dramatically rising way the more that keeps happening. And it ties into the Omen movies, which someday I will sit down and I'll watch the Omen again, and maybe I'll like it that time.
I think maybe you should watch movies in the series that aren't the first one, because I'm starting to learn through osmosis that maybe the reason people like some of these characters is movies that are not the first one.
Yeah, but people love the first one. So eventually
Who
I'll
does?
come back
I've
to
never
it.
heard that, but
My mom loves the first
Well,
one,
your
actually.
mom-
My mom loves The Omen. She thinks it's very scary.
Is the
And
Omen the
thought
one
it was
that's
a
got
good
Cary
movie.
Grant?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do normally like him.
You know what? We will watch it together because I think that'll make me focus on the movie in the correct way and take it seriously.
Okay.
And then I'll make you watch it too. It'll be great. But I mostly wanted to bring this up because The First Omen is a truly delightful return to old horror cinema. There's like some shots in this. There's this stained glass thing that happens at the beginning of the movie. Holy shit.
Ooh.
Really good. Everyone needs to get off Immaculate's dick.
Hmm.
Next, Kinds of Kindness.
Ooh, I've heard things.
I was not sure how I felt about this when I first saw it. I was generally excited and positive, and
oh, I forgot about Kinds of
Then-
Kindness.
as it went on, I'm like, okay, I'm not really sure where I sit in how I feel about this movie. Here we are 6 months out from me seeing it, to the day 6 months out from having seen it, and this movie bounces around my head sometimes still.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's on Hulu right now. I
Can
think
I
it's
chime in
worth
on that
checking out. Yeah, chime in, please, because
I have 2 thoughts. The first is that I think I like it a lot more than I did when I initially watched it. And now that I know what it is, I think there are a lot of things that I really like. This is one of those movies that reminds me that there are normies out there, because a lot of people went to see this because of the trailer and were like, I just went to see this because of Emma Stone dancing in the trailer, and it was really fucked up. And I'm like, it was pretty fucked up. I'm not going to discount that it was fucked up.
People go see movies though?
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
Yes. Because here's the thing, the trailer for Kinds of Kindness didn't really show anything about what kind of movie it was going to be. I didn't know it was an anthology going
Yeah,
in.
I didn't know it was an anthology.
I didn't realize until the second short started. And then I was like, oh, I think that these are different characters with the same actors. But, you know, you catch on pretty quickly. I liked how weird it was. This is one of the first things between this and Love Lies Bleeding and Challengers. I was like, maybe there are movies that are just trying to do something, and The Substance, that are just trying to do something interesting this year. I think after like the whole Saltburn thing from last year, where everyone was saying Saltburn was super weird, and then people who like real actual weird cinema watched it and were like, I don't think so, actually. Now there are things that are coming out this year, specifically Kinds of Kindness, where I'm like, no, this is weird, like actually. So I think that I just appreciate it for not pulling its punches, you know? I don't know that I'd recommend
Makes
it.
sense.
In fact, I'd say I probably don't.
I do recommend it to even it out, because I think you don't have to watch it and like it. But I do think it is a real experience of a movie to sit through.
There's a lot of, I'm going to couch it. There's a lot of weird sex stuff in this.
Yes.
And that includes SA. So, like, be very aware of that going in. But it is an experience, and I'm glad that I watched it.
And, you know, I've seen a lot of people who are like, someone please rescue Emma Stone from Yorgos. She's done
think she wants to be there.
10, 20 movies with this guy over the last 2 years. She's clearly having a blast working with Yorgos.
I gather all of Yorgos' shit is like inaccessibly weird for a lot of people, which honestly only makes me want to start watching his shit more, but I'm in the midst of my Aronofsky and Mike era, so I can't be doing that right now.
No, and it's not like it's gonna go anywhere.
Exactly.
So,
Yorgos will be there when I come back.
So I definitely would I would say take a moment to watch this one when you're done. If this is something that even remotely interests you, even if you can watch it and then just go, hey Noah, what the fuck? Why did you tell me I should watch that? Because right now, Jade, I'm talking to you specifically. I'm no longer talking to the podcast at large.
Anytime we're talking
I'm
about
not talking
really
to the
weird
audience.
shit, I assume that a certain amount of it is directed specifically at me.
Yes.
Because I just like that weird shit.
My next film I'd like to highlight. This is one I talked about kind of at length on the podcast already. But Vampire Zombies from Space was a delightful time. I had a really good time front to back with it, and I would love if more people had seen it. You know, I liked it, thought it was good.
Has it started streaming anywhere yet?
It has not. It's still on the festival circuit.
One of these days.
But someday it'll come out. And I just, at the end of the year here, I need to use this as my opportunity to push it a little bit more again. And I am just having a moment looking at some of the cast on this, remembering that I actually talked to the director to his face and said, yo, man, I really like your movie. And that was just nice, you know?
Yeah.
So, but that's a brief aside. I got 2 more movies after this here. I loved Heretic. I really, really loved Heretic. I understand the legitimate complaints people have with it. I think that there's a couple, and I get it.
I'm actually curious.
What do you call? Like the third act, a lot of people say it kind of falls apart a little bit, and I think that's fair. A lot of people talk about how they don't think it stuck the landing, and I think that that's an okay opinion to have. I think an incorrect opinion is the number of people who I heard talk about how, I have religious trauma, and not gonna lie, the whole time Hugh Grant was talking, I was like, I low-key agree with everything he's saying, LOL. Actual quote from someone I know. Which is like, I understand. I have moved past a lot of my anger era of my religious shit more quickly than some people do. I get it. I understand that. This is not the movie for you, I guess, if you're still angry about shit, because this is a movie that's talking about how there is a line where one side or the other are both wrong, but there is a middle point type of thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I heard Nina make a sound. I feel
No,
like
that was no. I agree.
Oh,
no,
okay.
I'm right there. I'm right there with you.
Sorry, I thought you were like,
No, I was just
actually,
moving.
Hugh Grant heretic is correct.
No, I fully agree,
But-
especially the point about I don't think this is a movie for people who are angry at religion. I think that
Yes.
it will just make you angry if that's where you're at.
Mm-hmm. And typo.
No, it doesn't know how to spell Gallivant.
Yeah, well, I also wrote
To
work without
be
a K, so I'll shut
fair,
up.
that's not a commonly
But-
used word in the modern English lexicon. I don't think.
Unless you're
It's not.
Noah.
But I don't know. I thought this movie was really good. I really enjoyed it. I think it asks some nice questions and leaves the correct things open to viewer interpretation, people who want to try and work things out and think about it. I think it lets you.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a very good time with it on that front. Also, I really liked that they had a line in the credits saying no generative AI was used in the making of this film. Like that. I think that's pretty cool. Finally, you knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
Oh, I didn't.
It's Trap 2024, baby.
Oh.
Woo! Trap 2024.
Hey.
Shyamalan's back. He's so back.
All right.
And he was also, you know what? This dude was also back in Cabin or not? Yeah,
Knock
what do
at
you
the
call it?
Cabin.
Knock at the Cabin.
You were
Love
saying
Knock at the
this.
Cabin.
But you know, when I look back at the man's filmography, I'm like, you know what? This isn't nearly as bad as people like to play it up to be.
Noah, I'm looking at his filmography and I'm seeing Split, Glass, Last Airbender, After Earth, and Lady in the Water or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's about as bad as people made it out to be when those were the movies that were coming out.
Yeah, but here's the thing. A lot of these movies came out a long ass time ago, and no one is giving this man his second chance of, you know, people hit with fucking The Sixth Sense as like one of his first movies. It's the first one that got mainstream attention, and everyone then locked him into being the guy that made The Sixth Sense, and you have to live up to that. It's difficult. It's very difficult, you know? But I think he's been making a very strong comeback, generally speaking. I haven't seen Old. I watched him talk about making Old, and I like conceptually what he's doing, but I don't want to watch Old. It's just not for me.
I've got to imagine that whatever he has to say about his thinking in making Old is going to be so much more interesting and entertaining than actually watching the movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I already told you about the camera moving past them thing to
Yeah.
symbolize the passage of time moving on without them.
Uh-huh.
But like, yeah, I don't know. I think he's definitely hitting more than he misses when it comes to these things.
I think that it's
Okay.
crazy that he made two stories about passing the torch to, or like not passing the torch, but like nepotism stories basically, and After Earth and Trap. And the one that he did about his own kid is so much more compelling than the one that he helped Will Smith make about his own kid, or his, like Will Smith's kid.
Oh, that's what this is, huh?
Yeah,
Wow, people really hated this.
because
huh?
it was really bad.
When did it come out? Was it during the period of time when everyone finally started getting tired of Will Smith? Or
2013. So
Oh, that's early.
kinda, but
Ooh.
not really. It was, I think, him trying to
I think they
intro
were
his
more.
son
They
into
were
the
way
scene.
more sick of Jaden at that point.
people
Yeah.
got sick of Jaden so fast.
Oh, this was the big realize era
Era
Jaden
Jaden.
Smith.
Jaden
Oh,
is
yeah.
the
Oh,
birth
yeah.
of I'm 14 and This Is Deep.
Yeah.
Poor kid.
But to step back, Trap was really good. I had a really good time with it, and I think people were being a little overcritical of some of the dialogue choices when there were a lot of other things that were there to really enjoy as well. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of things that people were being a little too mean about when instead you could let your heart be filled with love and wonder.
Agreed.
But that's me. Tapping out. That's my 5. I'd like to talk about it for the year.
All right.
All right, Jade. Do you want to go next?
Did you watch 5 movies this year?
I'm not sure if I did. I'm gonna throw out a bunch, and this might be 5, it might not. Just kind of a little bit rapid fire with most of them. Furiosa, fun as hell. Love Lies
Yeah.
Bleeding, really, really liked it.
Yeah.
Challengers, really, really liked it.
Yeah.
I think my biggest one for the year, and there's no matter what other movies came out this year, there was no way anything was going to beat this for me because of reasons having very little to do with other movies of any kind at all. And I saw the TV Glow.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like,
Emma's microphone lighting up purple. Perfect timing.
Did y'all see
Right?
that it's getting a Blu-ray release with a bunch of deleted scenes and shit?
oh fuck yes.
CJ did not see that was
I
happening.
did not see this, but I'm gonna be acquiring
neither.
a Blu-ray player just so that I can buy the Blu-ray and watch all those extra scenes because I love that movie so very much. And like it's obviously this is one of the more divisive movies of the year, right? Not that people are really fighting about it, but a lot of people really, really didn't get it for the exact reasons that I love it. And I mean, what else are you going to do with that, really, right? There's no way that any other movie this year was going to top the one that was the tipping point for me to finally start taking estrogen and shit, right? So, like, obviously there's no beating it just from that angle. Are there things on a technical level that could have been done a little bit better? Maybe. I'm not looking at that. I don't give a shit. Emotionally, it's telling the story that it's telling damn near perfectly, I think. And I can't find it in me to want to change anything about it. Is it a perfect movie? Such a thing does not exist. But for me, yeah, it is. You know?
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think I can even talk for as long about it as I thought that I was going to, because that's really, if I do, I'm going to get too deep into it, and then this isn't going to be a Gremlins podcast. So maybe I should just talk more about something else. In Furiosa, there's this character named the Octoboss.
The Octoboss.
The Octoboss.
God damn
And I tell you what,
Octoboss.
is the movie perfect? No, but the Octoboss is perfect. They couldn't have done better than putting him in there.
I showed Nina my phone background today, and it's a
Is it
picture
the
of Nina that I've
Octopus?
had as my background before, and I'm like, this is my new background, and Nina's like, no, it's not. And I'm like, I can assure you it is. It's new this last week, and Nina's like, what the hell did you have before? And I was like,
The Octoboss?
the guy who says I only take orders from the Octoboss.
Not even Octoboss himself, the other guy?
No, it was some really sick art of the guy I found on Tumblr.
That guy does look really cool, to be fair, actually. God, design in the Mad Max movies, just... The Mortifliers in general are such a cool group, and I love the whole, like, sequence that they get to have together while they're all dying in the movie, of course. But, like, you know.
Of course.
Other stuff to say about Love Lies Bleeding. I love the fucking soundtrack on that shit specifically.
So
actually,
good.
it's Clint Mansell, same guy who did the soundtrack on Darren Aronofsky's The Fountain. Actually,
Oh, crazy.
Convenient.
yeah, guy who does good fucking work. He's worked with Trent Reznor as well. Who's surprised? Speaking of,
That tracks.
That Challengers soundtrack has literally changed the way that I write music. Actually, just
Hell
in
yeah.
the short whatever number of months it's been since I watched it, I am literally writing music differently and more efficiently now because of it. It changed the way that I look at shit. Thanks, Trent. Love you. So excited for everything that he's doing right now. Actually, also, have you guys seen anything about this? Trent and Atticus say that they're coming out with a new Nine Inch Nails album sometime soon.
Oh, for real?
I did hear about that.
Yeah, they
should be
have
fun.
said that they are specifically really inspired by a lot of the soundtracking work that they have been doing lately, and they're putting it into a new Nine Inch Nails project. I am so goddamn excited. Holy shit.
Nine Inch Nails house album?
That's
Nine Inch Nails house album?
Have you listened to Add Violence?
I have not.
It's
I don't
the
think.
EP from 2017. Tell you what,
No.
I've shifted my Nine Inch Nails listening a little bit lately. I know we're supposed to be talking about movies right now. I don't give a shit.
But
I'm
it's
going to talk
Nine Inch
about the
Nails
music
time.
that
Shut
I've been
up.
listening to right now. So, after Hesitation Marks came out in 2013, they put out a handful of just like EPs. In 2016, it was what was it? Not the Actual Events. And then
Mhm.
2017, they put out Ad Violence. And in 2018, they put out Bad Witch, which is listed on Spotify under their full-length releases, but it's only a half an hour long, which I believe technically makes it still an EP. Bad Witch has like God Break Down the Door on it. God Break Down the Door is a little bit more avant-garde, a little bit less accessible than a lot of your average Nine Inch Nails material. But if you listen to Ad Violence, it's got a lot more of those housey kind of sounds.
Okay.
And I think you're really going to enjoy it. If you check out not the actual events, the final track is called Burning Bright parentheses Field of Fire. And what that is it's like a Trent Reznor version of what good Christian music could sound like. When you listen to it, you will understand what I mean. It's got this like bong
Oh
ripper
my
ass
God.
guitar line going through it the whole time. It's fucking
Okay.
rad. And it's super lo-fi and whatnot. But then the chorus hits and you're like, is Trent doing Christian music right now? That's kind of weird. And then he goes back to doing his usual shits, and you're like, oh, well, no, obviously that's not what that was. But, like, it's
What's the title again, just so I can make sure I don't forget?
Burning Bright, Field of Fire. But what you really want is Less Than off of Ad Violence. It's the opener track. That shit goes so fucking hard. Oh my God. I've had it in real heavy rotation lately, along with, like, the Wolves in the Throne Room, Oranzi Pazuzu, and like, well, today I've been listening to a bunch of 1349 as well. I'm on a black metal kick lately, and there's just a bunch of Nine Inch Nails mixed into it. It's a good place to be, honestly. I'm having a great time.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
I definitely will check it out because nothing you've said sounds like something I don't want.
Well, I mean, you probably won't be, you personally probably won't be super interested in 1349 or Wolves in the Throne. Well, actually, you might be interested in a little bit of
Who
Wolves in
knows?
the Throne Room. I would try to get you into Oranzi Pazuzu with a couple of specific songs, but like it's psychedelic black metal. You're probably not going to be super
Probably
into
not.
it.
Well, who knows? Maybe I will, but probably not.
Yeah,
but I will.
honestly.
I'll give some of the other stuff a shot for sure.
Yeah. Back to
And I'm-
movies though.
yeah.
On the long legs front, because you brought it up, and I've got thoughts that I didn't want to interject with too hard. I feel like they had a lot going in a lot of places in that movie and decided not to delve super deeply on any of the cool ones or the ones that they set up to be the most interesting, right? Like the fact that we get so little from Cage's character is ultimately, I think, definitely a good thing, but also it would have been cool to have just like more scenes with him in them being opaque, you know?
Yeah, I can totally agree with that.
But then maybe I would have gotten sick of him. I don't know. Ultimately, I think Longlegs is pretty damn good, but it's running into the same problem that I had with Gretel and Hansel, and also with I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House. And that problem is that I liked the Blackcoat's daughter too much. I don't know that Oz is going to be able to get back from that for me, unfortunately. This might be kind of like a problem comparable to when the band Septic Flesh put out their album The Great Mass, and then they put out Titan after that. And there's nothing wrong with Titan, but The Great Mass is just too good an album. It's hard to follow up, you know?
Yep.
Maybe they should just put out the Great Mass again, but with the bigger orchestra that they clearly wanted the first time.
I wouldn't say no, honestly. I'll listen to as many different versions of Pyramid God as they want to put out. I say as though they've put out a bunch. God, that song just goes so fucking hard. Vampire from Nazareth is probably my favorite, actually, even. But, like, Jesus. That whole album. Oh.
Good shit.
VHS Beyond? Damn
Yeah.
solid.
Yeah.
Very good.
I'm happy with it. I'm happy as hell, you know? Is it my favorite VHS movie? No, but it came out this year, and it did not disappoint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100% agree.
No, I didn't expect them to maintain the quality that they had for the Decades trilogy,
Right.
and I am quite pleased.
I'm
that
pleased that
they
it
have.
seems to be like this is the direction it's going now, is that like they found their groove and we're going to keep getting like good ones.
Yeah.
It feels like they're not like
They
it feels
found
like they
the
were
shit
trying
that
to
works, that hits.
they were trying too hard initially to be something that they did not need to be, and at some point it clicked that they didn't need to be that, and that they can actually do like fun and experimental stuff and they don't have to try to be edgy.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what they do next.
Extremely,
Same.
yeah.
As someone who's a huge fan of the VHS franchise and hasn't just seen
Yeah,
the first one and
historically,
then
yeah.
this one. Yeah.
I've got like 2 more movies from this year that I would like to spotlight a little bit. One of those is The Substance.
Yeah, hit him up.
Love The Substance.
Almost decided to talk about that.
It does all that shit real good, and I am so disappointed at the way that a lot of people seem to not be getting it. That is very sad, because I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for whatever the next thing that director comes out with, because like I love seeing a little bit that New French Extremity tinge getting thrown onto other shit, and when that other shit that it's getting thrown onto is the David Cronenberg, Brian Usna thing, that's fucking sick. I love that. I feel like between Cronenberg coming back and like the between this and like Suitable Flesh and a couple other things, I feel like we're hitting a little bit of a Usna revival right now. That's rad. That's fantastic. I would love to keep seeing more of that.
No, 100%.
I still haven't watched The Substance yet.
Oh, you gotta.
I haven't finished it yet. I know it's
too.
streaming now, so I'm looking forward to watching it again from the beginning.
Ooh.
It's on
Yeah,
Mubi.
maybe.
Mubi, I believe.
Off-brand Tubi.
I'll have to check out that movie.
So last one that I'm gonna specifically spotlight is Against All Odds, not Dune 2, even though I really enjoyed Dune 2. It is a sequel though. It's
Furiosa.
Joker Felicidue.
Of course, Joker Felicidue.
Now, obviously Joker Felicidue was easily one of the movies that came out this year, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you talk about movies that came out this year,
Joker Felicidue was surely
one of
and
them.
undeniably one of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
My theater experience was so fucking funny because I was sitting next to my friend who really, really hated it the whole way through and hadn't seen the first one. So
Oh my
periodically,
God.
if something happened, I would lean over and be like, this is a reference to something in the first one. And she'd be like, oh, does it matter? And I'd be like, no.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine what that must have been like.
Sometimes I would go to say this and she would just like guess something and I'd be like, yeah, that's pretty much it. And she'd be like, I didn't miss anything. I never needed to watch the first one. She just refuses to, which like, honestly, she's so
that's
right
so
for that.
real.
But then the credits rolled and, she really summed it up by saying, what a waste of time. We shouldn't have done this.
But you loved it, didn't you?
I had a fun time, maybe perhaps partially because I had sitting next to me vocally hating it the whole time. I think that honestly improved the experience so much that I fooled myself into thinking I enjoyed it more than I did.
I see.
I stand by the fact that I think however bad it is, it's doing all of it on purpose. And now that I've learned even a first and second thing about the director, I'm like, wow, fuck that guy and fuck that movie. But like, at least I had a fun time while I was watching it.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah. And I think that's my
I'm glad
year in
you
movies.
had fun.
That's my 2024.
What an incredible 2024. Now, everybody, I'm doing my top 5
It's
of the year.
time.
Let's
go.
do it.
And we are going to start at number
And then
5,
the music
going
fades
up to
into the
number
main
1. No. Noah, can you give me like a really deep, like, number 5?
Number 5.
I'm gonna bass boost
Ooh,
that.
that was perfect. Thank you. My number 5 movie of 2024 is Wicked Part 1.
Yeah.
This movie, yeah, obviously there's probably a little bit of recency bias. However, I do enjoy a musical. This is a really well done musical. The like costuming, the props, the sets, everything in this is just done spectacularly. The main criticism I see from people about this movie is like the lighting of it being too like bright, and I'm like, that's a dumb criticism. I'm like, I feel like the lighting works extremely well for what the movie is going for. It was paced really well, songs were fantastic, and it's just a really great time. After that, Noah, hit me with that number 4.
Number 4.
Thank you. Number 4 is Alien Romulus. I get the criticisms. I understand. But when I sat down in that theater and I was watching our main character kind of go through this colony planet and all of like the sets and effects of like everything going on all around her. And that just like quality continuing throughout the whole film of like sets being amazing and like atmospheric and brooding and just like everything that was happening was just so fucking good.
I've had this feeling with CG fire and smoke a lot recently, how it doesn't live up to real fire and smoke. Yeah. The fog and real neon shining through the fog in Romulus is such, oh my god.
Neon lights in fog are a match.
It's
that's why you gotta watch it, Jade.
Even honestly, you won't. But if you hate the entire rest of the movie, it is worth watching for that beginning alone. It is so tactile and real. I'm like getting goosebumps thinking about it again.
Hell yeah.
The actors all did amazing. Huge shout out to David Johnson, who played the android.
Oh, Andy is one of my favorite characters from anything this year. I loved him.
I get like people's criticisms and people who are like huge fans of the Alien franchise thinking like this didn't do enough that was new, but like as just an Alien movie, it was very much kind of a Force Awakens kind of situation where it was hitting a lot of like familiar beats, but it still did them so fucking well. And I thought this was a really strong start to like a new entry of another. I think there's a sequel happening for this, maybe a trilogy, I don't know, but I'm very excited to see where it goes. And I thought this was just such a strong like first entry. Number 3. Thank you. Number 3 is Look Back, an anime movie I've talked about a little bit before. It is a like 50-minute anime movie based on a one-shot by the mangaka for Chainsaw Man. It's about 2 artist friends growing up and inspiring each other and working together and like creating art together and like pushing each other forward, and their like relationship as they're growing up, and then like them kind of like struggling as adults a little bit with their relationship. That's all I'm gonna say. But it's an extraordinarily well done movie. It's on Amazon Prime. If you have a spare 50 minutes, I'm begging you, check it out. It is so good, and it made me real emotional. But incredible, and I loved it so much. Number 2 is Thelma. Who here remembers Thelma?
I was just seeing it in the list of 24 movies, and I'm so mad that I never got to watch it.
Oh my gosh. Thelma is incredible. It is a movie about this 93-year-old woman who gets scammed out of some money, and she goes on a hunt trying to get the money back. And like her family is very worried about her and is chasing after her. She's like connecting with very old acquaintances to like sneak around town to try to get her money back and all this stuff. And it is just so charming. And there's so many like references and themes that mirror like action movies, but she's just this old woman and it's just extraordinarily well done. It's so much fun. It's really emotional and incredible time. I loved it so much. And number 1. To nobody's surprise.
Hot Frosty.
Let's all say it together. Number 1 movie. I saw the TV
Fury Road.
Glow. You were all wrong. I saw the TV Glow. Truly a life-changing movie.
Yeah.
I'm writing an essay about it for the podcast website. The essay itself is going to have so many emotions and everything thrown in. Kind of just delving into why this is such an important movie for me specifically, but for likely a lot of other trans people. It's I've always struggled with the question of like, what is your favorite movie? It's never something I've been able to answer because I've never been like super passionate about any one movie.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like the feeling I had after I first watched it, I was like, this could potentially be my favorite movie. And then I could not get it out of my mind, so I went back to the theater the next day and watched it again. And after that, I was like, okay, yes, this is for sure my favorite movie. And it's just so incredibly special to me. It has so much to fucking say about kind of like the trans experience and the experience of like finding your identity and being true to it, but also the struggles that go along with accepting your identity. And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's
It
iconic.
is.
Mm-hmm.
I love.
Can't recommend enough. Really looking forward to the article.
Same.
Yeah. It'll happen one day.
I have faith.
Yeah. But okay. With that.
Yeah. No, I
We
was
should
gonna. I
get
no, I
into-
was gonna
yeah,
really quick.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Gremlins.
Oh, sorry. Queuing us in wrong.
Oh my god. I was just gonna say that I didn't mention I saw the TV Glow, but it's definitely my top movie for the year as well. I think that it's like I saw the TV Glow, Love Lies Bleeding, Challengers, Abigail, Trap.
Valid. It's a good
Yeah.
list.
Transphobic Noah
Solid
has not
list.
seen the movie yet because I'm dragging
You
my feet.
haven't.
But trans
After all
ally
we've
Noah,
said about it.
his top artist was against me for the 5th year in a row.
5 years
Ally.
in a row is such a commitment. My God.
And my number
Also-
2 artist was Laura Jane Grace's solo project.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
also,
You get a pass.
You're literally doing with your Spotify with Against Me what I did with Pink Floyd, like last year, where my top artists were like Pink Floyd and then David Gilmour and then
Yeah, but this is how it's been for the past
5 years
Since
in
2020.
a row.
Years.
It's like that's serious. Yeah, they're never going away.
It's
No.
been the same
Yeah.
album too. It's kind
It's
of
a good fucking album.
yeah, but for me, the straight guy.
That makes it seem a little odd. We've all been looking at you sideways for it the whole time, but like,
Oh
we're
yeah,
not gonna
Noah's
say
top
anything
song,
'cause it's a good
Transgender
album.
Dysphoria Blues. Oh, his number
Easily.
2 song, True Trans Soul Rebel. Why do you ask? Oh yeah, Noah's the cis head on the podcast.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Don't think about it.
I just need you to watch I Saw the TV Glow because I'm very curious what your takeaways will be.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
very
I heard Fred
interested
Durst
in-
is in it, so it's already a 10 out of 10.
That's true. Fred Durst is in it.
I hear it's actually that he's really scary if you're looking at the movie as it's like meant to be.
Well, he does pack a chainsaw.
Skin your ass raw.
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Anyway.
These are
Sorry,
lyrics from a
someone
Limp
knows the
Bizkit
Limp
song.
Bizkit lyrics. Sorry,
You know,
someone's a
it's just
Durst
one of
head in
those
this house.
days where you don't want to wake up.
I said
Everything's
that to one
fucked.
of
Everybody
my
sucks.
coworkers, and he literally just solemnly nodded at me like I'd said something really profound.
As the philosopher Frederick Durst said,
Yeah.
it's just one of those days.
I truly do just want to piss on the walls of your house.
Let's act like we haven't talked at all yet today. Let's act like this is for whatever reason. This is just the beginning of us sitting down and chatting.
We're gathered around the Christmas tree. There's a roaring fireplace in the background, and we're all sipping on our eggnog. It's 10 a.m., but our eggnog has way too much rum in it.
It's just Christmas.
That's just Christmas.
It's just Christmas.
Christmas.
Grimbus.
Crumba. Is everybody ready?
Ready to start
Whenever you're
opening presents. The greatest gift of all, Jesus.
Okay. I'm just gonna assume Nina is also ready, even though they haven't said anything.
What? Sorry.
Nina's falling asleep on the couch because of all the rum in the eggnog.
The
It's 10
mulled
a.m.
wine.
Yeah,
I'm pulling a Noah.
Mulled wine. Whoa, it's not noon yet. Jesus.
Yeah, we're not fucking alcoholics here.
Yeah. We're just
We're drinking hard liquor,
eggnog.
not wine.
Liquor
Oh,
for
yeah.
breakfast, wine for lunch, beer for dinner.
Oh, I thought you were about to rhyme something. Liquor for breakfast, wine for lunch. Don't know where it's going, but I got a hunch.
There's no. Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh,
Bed is where it's going. It's going to
Sounds like a
bed.
Tom Waits song.
Knocked out. Honk shoe me.
Tom Waits, that obscure actor from Buster Scruggs.
Oh my god.
The very same, as a matter of fact. He was also in Bram Stoker's Dracula.
I do
Not the
remember
movie,
him
the
from
book.
that. Anyway,
Okay. Welcome to the Casual Obsession Podcast, the horror movie podcast where we talk about horror movies. We find ourselves in a comfortable living room. Various couches and chairs are set up around. A fireplace is going in the corner, warmth radiating from it. We each are sitting on the couch with little coffee mugs filled with hot cocoa, little marshmallows. Under the tree, there's various decorative presents wrapped, stockings hanging above the fireplace. But what's that? Footsteps. Footsteps on the roof. There's somebody up there, the sound of jingling. Suddenly we hear something crawling down the chimney. Smoke kind of emanating down onto the fire as debris from the chimney that we have not cleaned in quite a long time begins falling into the room. Excitement turns to terror as two large horns protrude from the fireplace, and out crawls Krampus.
Oh wait, Emma, no, that was we did this one 4 years ago.
Krampus says, shut the fuck up. Krampus says.
That's what he says.
The opposite of ho ho ho.
Right.
I see.
Oh yes.
I have come to bring you terrible gifts.
Oh no.
You! And he points to Noah.
No.
What terrible gift do you receive?
Oh,
Also say who
I'm
you
sorry.
are in your pronouns.
I wasn't aware that
Krampus
Noah,
is big on pronouns.
I wasn't aware
Krampus is
that
so
I
big on
Noah.
pronouns. He's
He,
an ally.
they. I'm sorry, Krampus. I didn't realize that you wanted me to talk now. I didn't want to interrupt. I'm sorry.
Yes, I pointed at you. Didn't you see?
Krampus is a bit of an asshole.
Shut the fuck up. Answer
Okay.
the
Did you
question.
not know this before, Noah?
Well, I was hoping, for Krampus on Blu-ray, but I guess that's a good gift for you.
Yes, that's the best gift.
Greatest gift of all.
Here, I'll give you Hot Frosty on VHS.
Damn, I can't use this.
And
Everyone look out,
you,
Krampus is giving out
Nina,
clutter.
Yeah.
what terrible gifts do you receive?
Nina, Krampus is really big on pronouns. Make sure he knows.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
need them pronouns.
I, Nina, they, them, would really hate it if I received any X-Men comics that focus completely on Cyclops and no other characters.
It's a lie. I think he's gonna give you Hot
We
Frosty
got
on
the Cyclops
VHS.
solo comic
Here.
that never went into production.
Hot Frosty on VHS.
Holy shit.
Damn, that's even worse. I don't have a VHS player except for at my parents' house.
I do feel like the Hot Frosty
Now you'll
VHS
have to
is
watch
like-
it at your parents' house.
It's pretty bad.
And you, Jade, remember, I'm very big on pronouns.
Yeah, of course I remember this.
Jade, I think
Who
Krampus
could
is big
forget?
on
I'm
pronouns.
Jade, on a they/she pronoun rig. I asked Santa for Hot Frosty on VHS, but I know that you don't receive Santa's mail, so
Yes, I don't, for sure. Let's see what I have in my terrible bag of gifts for
guys,
you.
I think Krampus might be stealing Santa's mail.
That's a federal
Here!
offense.
A sexy statue of Cyclops from X-Men.
Holy shit! All right, let's go.
Retails $3.99.
Whoa!
Oh, it's cheap.
But then, suddenly, Krampus reaches for their head and tears it off, and it was me,
Oh my
Emma,
God.
they, them, the
Oh
whole
my
time.
god. I didn't even know.
That was
Whoa.
crazy.
What
Yeah.
the fuck? Where did you get these Hot
The rest of the
Frosty
gifts are for me.
VHSs?
I special ordered them on Etsy.
Ah.
There's actually something so funny and scary about the idea of a VHS getting popped into the player and then the Netflix logo pops up.
That used to just
I
be a
think-
normal thing that happened back in the day.
Did they have VHS?
No, they only
back
ever
in the
did
day? I thought
DVDs.
they
They
just
had
had
VHS.
DVDs.
No, they don't.
It
Yeah,
was
but no
mostly
Netflix
DVDs,
shows.
but they had VHSs. It was a thing that existed.
Yeah, but no Netflix shows.
I'm
Like the
pretty
logo.
sure it would still have the logo, wouldn't it?
No,
'Cause it
none
was
of
one of
none of that
theirs.
shit.
It was like a red VHS tape with their logo on it, and I'm pretty sure it would pop up when you started playing it.
No.
No?
No, they didn't have their
The-
logo on any of that shit.
Interesting.
The pair first considered shipping VHS tapes, but found them too expensive to stock and too delicate to ship.
Oh, interesting.
So no, they did not.
Now we know.
Well,
Debunking myths.
hi everybody.
Damn. Now that you've learned something, welcome to the Casual Obsession.
Now that you've learned something, we are here to discuss a movie called Gremlins for the holidays. As always, we need a Christmas horror movie, and to be honest, there's not a whole lot of Christmas horror movies. But Gremlins is an iconic one. It was released in a year.
1984.
Oh no, I closed
84, right?
Wikipedia.
It was 84.
1984. Thank you. It was released in 1984.
It's
And
30
it's
years,
considered-
40 years before Hot Frosty.
Wow.
40 years
Anytime
before Hot
that's from
Frosty.
here on out that someone says this is just like 1984, I'm gonna say like, oh, like when Gremlins came out.
Of all the movies that came out in 1984.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Gremlins is a like comedy horror film that is about this like toy inventor, not even just toys, just an inventor guy who's got a family back home, going out in random parts of town looking for a gift for his son. And he stumbles upon a old like Chinese like thrift shop sort of deal. And discovers this weird creature while he's there, and he's like, I have to have this. And so he buys it and he brings it home. And he had 3 major rules that he learned with taking care of the creature. One is don't let it out in the sunlight because it'll die. 2 was don't get it wet. And 3 was don't ever feed it after midnight, no matter how much it begs. So he gives it to his son, and then the movie takes off from there. Which I was expecting the son to be like 7 or 8.
Yeah, honestly.
But the son's
Same,
like
and then it was like a
fucking
grown-ass man.
18. Yeah.
A man with
He
a
works at
job.
a
He works
bank.
at a
The
bank.
That's such an adult job.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's kind of the basic non-spoilery like tease for what Gremlins is. Noah, can you tell us about how this movie was received critically?
I got some numbers to throw around, as I am wont to do.
Is there an?
I love numbers.
Is there a what?
Is there an?
Oh, are you jumping the gun? Are you jumping the gun?
I-
think you
I
should wait until I
realized-
say the first 4
I
numbers.
realized and I reined it in. I'm waiting, and then I'm gonna ask my question.
All right. IMDb, 7.3 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes,
Pretty good.
86%.
Ooh,
That's pretty
Metacritic,
good.
70%.
okay.
Letterboxd, 3.6 out of 5.
Damn. Yeah.
Wow.
Jade, did you have a question, by the way?
Is there an Ebert?
There
for this
is a
one?
fucking Ebert on this one. Oh, yes, there is.
Nice. Let's go.
Ebert himself has this little write-up that I have chopped into smaller pieces as per tradition. The whole movie is 3 out of 4 from Ebert. 75%.
Damn.
Wow.
The whole movie is a sly series of send-ups inspired by movie scenes so basic they reside permanently in our subconscious. There are such basic movie characters as the zany inventor, the blustering sheriff, the clean-cut kid, the cute girlfriend, and of course, the old bag. This movie exploits every trick in the monster movie book. We have scenes where monsters pop up in the foreground, others where they stalk us in the background, and others where they drop into frame and scare the shinola out of everyone.
Is that a word?
It's a new word for me.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this.
Preparing to censor this word. And the movie itself turns nasty, especially in a scene involving a monster that gets slammed in a microwave oven, and another one where a wide-eyed teenage girl explains why she hates Christmas.
They make watches.
At the level of...
Shinola is a company that makes watches, and allegedly there's like a controversy about it. What the fuck?
Interesting. At the level of pop movie going, it's a sophisticated, witty B-movie in which the monsters are devouring not only the defenseless town, but decades of defenseless cliches. But don't go if you still believe in Santa Claus. That's it. I got nothing.
Oh, yeah, they did have a thing where they were like, Santa isn't real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that
Okay,
now.
so hold on a second. The Shinola Company was founded in 1877 as a shoe polish brand in Rochester, New York, but currently this exact same company has changed itself and is now a Detroit luxury goods brand.
I assume that Ebert was just using it so that he didn't say shit in a kids movie review.
Yeah, but that's not nearly as important as whatever it is that I'm trying to figure out right now.
Was this a kids movie for the time?
Yes, I'm pretty certain, yeah.
This movie, I have heard, is one of the reasons that the PG-13 rating exists.
Yeah, like this and Raiders of the Lost Ark and a couple other things.
Yeah, I was like, in tone, it feels very kidsy, but there are a couple things that happen or are said where I'm like, excuse me, that kind of...
There's a couple of scenes
that
where
kind of
it's
cuts
like,
through the
shit,
tone.
What? Like...
Yeah. Okay, well, what did you all think about the movie?
I'm sorry.
using host privilege. What?
I found a Brandon.
Did you have more to say?
And it's just that
You found
Brandon
a
thinks
Brandon?
Gremlins 2 is better than Gremlins 1.
This is a common stance to
Okay.
take, I believe.
It is what many people seem
Maybe
to
we'll
think.
I
have
guess
to
next
watch-
year I'll watch Gremlins
Maybe,
too.
yeah.
Even if it's not a
Gremlins 2
Christmas movie.
Christmas 2025. It's like the child of a Christmas movie, so I feel like it counts.
Son of
I agree.
Frankenstein.
Yeah.
What did you all think of the movie? Did you like it?
I'll go.
Sure.
I liked it. Fine. It was a good movie. The tone was not something that I was like super into or paying attention or anything. The practical effects were great. Amazing, always. The puppets were great. The character designs were fantastic. Some of the comedy was so funny that I was like, and I don't know if it was like as funny to everyone else as it was to me, but having watched the Muppets movie, I'm like, people in the 70s and 80s knew what was funny.
This shit was really hitting. Yeah.
So giving the Gremlins a gun is so
It's so
funny.
funny.
Damn funny.
Every time Stripe levels that gun at anything, Nina was like, "He's got a gun!"
It's so fucking funny.
Literally, I was losing my shit. Gizmo is way more charming than I expected him to be. I was like under the impression that he was kind of an annoying, like Minions type character, but he is a cutie and he's so respectful.
Yeah.
I love the implication that if you treat a mogwai
Mogwai.
well and you take care of one and you like are respectful of the rules and its preferences, that it will in fact refuse food if offered, because it will be like, no, I'm happy with the way I am now in my life as it is. And I love Gizmo very, very much. So I think
Gizmo's great.
I rated this like a 6 out of 10. It's still definitely like not a movie I would like praise as a piece of art or anything, but I definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like high cinema or anything, but like it's not a waste of time to watch. It's fun as hell. I
Yeah.
feel like 6 out of 10 is the right spot to put it. It's just it's a good time.
It's fun.
It's the most Christmas that it can manage to be at any given moment. Kind of like
Yes,
Home Alone in
which
that
is
way,
so funny.
where it's like, yeah, are they mentioning Christmas all the time necessarily? Not quite, but there's always snow and red and green shit and Christmas music playing, so you're never not thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's very clear the movie was made by like working backwards from having the puppets and wanting to do something with them.
Yeah.
And I say
Yeah.
that the good way, the Killer Clowns way.
Agreed. It does feel very Killer Clowns. I see
for
a lot
sure,
of
for
parallels
sure.
between the two.
Yeah, fun as hell.
Noah, what did you think?
I think it was a really good time. I don't think it feels super Christmassy as a general thing.
No?
Personally, I think that it didn't hammer home definitively for me that it was a Christmas movie until the ending 30 seconds with our little like monologue as the guy takes the Mogwai away. And then suddenly it became such a Christmas movie. And I'm like, oh, there it is. It tied it all together. It all came in the end.
That is one of the more
which
Christmas
I thought was pretty
moments,
great.
But like, what about that whole opening credits sequence? That shit feels like it's right out of Jingle All the Way, doesn't it? Actually, the credits, as the text pops up on the screen, it's the same colors and everything, even. Which obviously that's Jingle All the Way aping this, right? But like,
Yeah.
But no, I had a very good time with this. I realize I had the wrong idea of what Gizmo was like, much like Nina said. I had no concept of this little dude. I thought he was the villain. I didn't realize he was the only good guy.
I did too.
I didn't know that this guy could hold down the bank job better than the kid could. Let's be real here.
He could run that place by himself.
Yeah, 100%. I loved it. Had a very good time. Wouldn't change a thing, pretty much.
So 10 out of 10?
7.
Okay.
7 out of 10.
7
Wouldn't
out of
change
7.
a thing. 3 out of 5. I don't know. There's something about how the pride and dignity Gizmo carried himself with through the whole movie. Also, there's this moment at the very beginning where I'm like, how the hell did they get permission to use the fucking Indiana Jones thing? And then Spielberg's name in like 20-foot tall letters hits the screen. I'm like, oh. And then I thought, because I saw his name so big, I'm like, oh, he directed it. No, he did not.
No,
it was Joe Dante.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And immediately, especially now that I've watched more Tobe Hoopers, I'm cleanly away from the camp of Spielberg secretly directed Poltergeist.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
I have landed cleanly in the wow. It is insane how Spielberg's fingerprints are on everything he's ever been connected to, but in slightly different ways. Because this doesn't feel like a Spielberg
goes a long
movie.
way as well.
I
gotta
think
say.
watching The
Yes.
Mangler is the one that made Poltergeist click for me of
Yes.
anything.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because like the music in this is like most of it, I'm like, that's Spielberg-y. And some of the stuff is Spielberg-y, but it's definitively not him. And that's kind of cool. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at this smug asshole.
it's a picture of
pics.
Gizmo.
I thought you were talking about me because I was making a bit of a face.
It was a bit of
Gizmo
a
is
face.
a perfect.
Were
is a
you making
perfect
this
creature.
face?
A little bit. They were.
no.
They kind of
Actually,
were.
you know what?
Look at that smug
I was a little bit. Very
That's
close.
a pretty similar face, I gotta say.
Yeah.
God, I love Gizmo. What a fucking fella.
They designed the hell out of that character. I saw people be. Here's something that frustrates me if I'm so honest before we get into spoiler talk. I saw a review being like, if you replace the Gremlins with Furbies, this would be a perfect movie or something. And I'm like, you guys are so boring, because what they mean to say is Gizmo's design kind of reminds me of a Furby, but they don't know how to just own up to that. So they're trying to make themselves sound cooler. It drives me insane when people do that shit.
It's frustrating when you read something someone has written and it's so obvious that they just have something boring to say but don't want to say it that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But enough
sorry.
about all social media.
Right? Yeah.
I'm more interested in what Emma has to say about this movie, because we have not yet
Thank you,
heard
Jade.
a numerical rating.
Actually,
Thank you
I
for
was more
asking.
interested in what Emma has to say about this movie. And also, you never dropped a numerical rating either.
Yeah, they
Yes, I
did.
Fuck.
They said 6 feels
I
right.
said 6 feels right. I said it real
6
early
feels
on.
right is not I agree. It's just
I
or that is my I'm sorry. 6 feels right is I agree with Nina. It is not I'm dropping my review.
very fair, very fair.
I took it as Jade is also giving this movie a 6.
That was how I intended it, yeah.
Well, that's how I take it now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I keep being stuck between giving it a 6.5 and giving it a 7. So I'm going to give it a 6.8.
Oh, there we go. That seems fair.
I think this movie has a lot of charm. It's like a fun time. Our best boy Gizmo is adorable and cool. And again, I thought he was the villain too. I thought in this movie there was just like one gremlin, and he turned evil and then started causing havoc.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what happens, and I knew very little about how gremlins work before going into this movie. But it was a fun time. The tone really was like, it gave me Cousins of Beetlejuice vibes. Where like the practical effects and like the style and the conversations that would take place all just reminded me of Beetlejuice in a lot of ways. And having that frame kind of going into it helped me enjoy the movie more and just kind of like chill and relax and sit back and turn off my brain a bit and just have fun with it. I think it is just kind of like a fun movie to watch. It's a good time. If you want like a horror Christmas movie that's pretty chill, I would say this is like a good one to put on, but it's not like significant.
Yeah, it's not rare
or anything
exports,
like that.
right?
Yeah, it's not high art as has been said, but it is fun and it's worthwhile. And I think the people who like it will really like it. And the people who aren't into it won't have like super strong opinions about it. They'll just be like, this isn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine anybody like vitriolically hating this movie, but who knows? So yeah, that's me.
Yes.
Content warnings.
Ooh.
What have we got to say?
You know,
There is
there's a lot of pus.
there's a mention. There's a lot of
There's
pus.
some
That's true.
significant pus, yeah.
There's some like gross bodily fluid stuff just in general. Slime,
yeah,
goo.
slime and phlegm and such.
Sacks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The story that the girl tells is pretty rough.
Yeah, we got a traumatic story.
I was
being
like
told.
surprised. That kind of
There's a
came
number
out
of
of
small
nowhere.
elements of the movie that are just way harsher and darker than you expect them to be, but the tone of the movie stays light and fun enough that it kind of doesn't stick with you. There's a certain amount of violence that if you're going in with the expectations of the level of violence you'd see in a modern kids movie, you're going to be horrified and you're going to be like, holy shit, they were showing this to children back then. We were fine though. So like,
I mean, we're all here on a horror movie podcast.
also
so that's debatable.
That's fair.
I want to say for this one, xenophobia and some
Yeah.
Orientalism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a character who is very shakes fist the foreigners.
That's literally
and-
that's a quote actually directly. That's not even like
Yeah.
a generalization of what he says. This is literally what he says.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that. It's not great.
That said, the point of that character is that he's a shithead and nobody likes him.
Yeah.
So it's got that going for it at the least. But
It's
he's
a little
there.
But
bit
also-
muddled.
No one directly refutes this. A guy who needs the movie's politics handed to him on a platter, but no one does ever refute this man. You know,
I think what muddled it for me was that he uses gremlins as an insult for foreigners, and then later on when the gremlins are taking over and destroying the town, the main kid character also goes, he was right, that's what gremlins are, and it's like literal monsters that are destroying the town. So I feel
Fair.
the politics are a little bit muddled in that regard if it's trying to make a statement. But yeah, he is, as a modern viewer, he's annoying as shit.
Yeah.
So
But then he gets run over by a tractor in his living room. So
He does.
You know,
his
Yeah.
good American-made tractor, if you could believe it.
justice is served.
A win's a win. Yeah. Mention of cutting yourself kind of coming out of nowhere.
oh yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah. It was
How?
when main character guy and his crush are going on a walk and she's talking about how she hates Christmas. And she's like, yeah, like for some people it's spending time with
that's
family
right, yeah.
and like being together, and then for others they're just opening up their
That's
wrists.
right.
And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was watching this with
Yeah.
Becca when
This
that
is
line hit. She just went,
insane.
"Oh."
Yeah.
Yeah.
The entire monologue.
I was like,
Yeah, and she's just like, I just don't know.
Some
You say you
people
hate
like
President's
Christmas.
Day and no one bats an eye, and it's like,
I did.
Yeah.
You know what? And I
Over
judged her
Christmas,
harshly
she
at that
becomes the
moment.
Joker.
I judged her harshly in that moment and thought she was very Joker pilled. And then she tells her story later, and I'm like, actually, you know what? She's completely justified.
she's the only person allowed to have that opinion, actually.
yeah.
Speaking of, she tells a very dark story about her father dying in their chimney,
Yeah, we talked about this.
pretending
yeah.
to be Santa.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Which that was wild too.
It is. It really is. It really is. I think we've covered everything, though.
I think so. Gremlin
Gizmo
with
gets
a gun.
threatened a lot.
Gizmo gets threatened
So,
a
fair
good bit.
warning.
He's okay. There's a dog. The dog is endangered but does not die.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lady who threatens the dog.
In some
She does that.
very
She does.
detailed and explicit terms. Oh my god, what is wrong with
Yeah.
her?
She's
In a
fucked
bank.
What the fuck?
in front of people, and people take her side.
She cuts
also,
in
there's
line
a-
to do it, and they just let her.
I can't stand her. Yeah, I think that's really it. I was gonna say there's a lot of like creature death, like that's kind of gruesome. They find a lot of great ways for these creatures to die.
Yeah.
But I think that, hopefully you're going into this expecting that. I wasn't, but I was pleasantly surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great movie for
Good choice.
Helldivers players.
I guess, yeah.
Fans of
kinda.
You like seeing
Hellraiser, too.
tons of creatures.
The new
just getting
update came
mowed
out.
down.
You can watch Gremlins. That's a good
Yeah.
way to spend the holidays.
The new update is pretty rad. Also, anyways.
Okay.
Well, but like I mean,
I'm a little concerned. I feel like I'm missing something here.
I feel
It's
like
kinda
we've
scary.
just discussed a number of relatively scary or off-putting, unsettling kind of things that occur in this movie, but like
That's probably why I'm scared.
I don't think
Yeah.
I don't know if the movie scared me. I think I need to seek a professional opinion about this.
I wish it was quantifiable.
Yeah.
Hello, it's me,
Holy shit,
Klaus.
Krampus is
or-
back.
Oh no! Krampus is back!
My pronouns are the same as last time. God.
Please, Krampus,
Good,
I don't
they
need
better
another
be.
VHS.
Once you change your pronouns, you can't change them again.
Everyone knows this.
Everyone knows this. I am an expert in scary. And I rate Gremlins 0.5 out of 10 scary.
Oh, shit. Oh my god.
There's a part where there's a gremlin that kind of gets boiled alive, sort of, and that was the only semi part that might be scary. I don't know.
I turned to
Like a
Noah.
grape in that microwave.
Yeah.
I at one point was asked before things got really crazy. I think it was when they were still in the eggs and shit. I was like, Noah, do you think that if you were a kid you would find this scary? And that was like the kind of mindset I was in, was like, if I was a kid and you were showing me this, would I be scared? And I think by the end of the movie I was like, yeah, I think I think as a kid I probably would have found
When
this.
It's
Nina
supposed
asked,
to
I
get
was
you
like,
a little bit in the
no.
middle and then bring it back by defeating the evil, right? This is something a lot of
Exactly,
kids'
yeah.
movies were doing at the time, actually, because this is around the same time as after when Jim Henson put out The Dark Crystal and shit, and he wanted that specifically to be scary for kids because he felt like it was important to give kids the credit that they deserved and give them movies that would scare them because that he felt that was an important part of a child's development.
I think he's right. Thank you, Jim Henson.
I agree.
He also the Muppet sense of humor carries so well because it's not pulling any punches.
Yeah.
It's so fucking funny.
Yeah, well, and it's a very easy kind of sense of humor to port between child and adult kind of formats, right? There's just a handful of things that you say or don't say while all the exact same things happen.
I think that Gremlins humor is pretty good too.
Mm-hmm.
Hits.
I think it hit. Anyway,
It walks that balance of being an 80s comedy without being too far.
It's the right kind of
Which-
stupid.
Like
Yeah.
Nina was saying, 80s comedy in the 80s and stuff seemed pretty dialed into what was actually funny. Some of them were better at it than others, and I think this is one of the ones that is a little bit better at it.
Yeah.
the extended scene in the bar, every once in a
the bar
while I'd
scene
look
is
up
so
and there'd be a
fucking
gag.
funny.
And there's some really funny shit. Like the
You
fact
know-
that they made her keep lighting their cigarettes, but they wouldn't sit
The
still.
fact that she's still working. She's
Yeah.
still trying to serve all of them.
Dude, it's like you
Wait, we're getting
Not
into,
to-
we're getting
not
into
to be
spoiler
that
talk
guy.
here, aren't we?
literally can't
We
make
are.
a movie like this anymore because
Because
that
of
was
woke.
a bunch of guys who make practical effects
Yeah.
going, we got the puppets, you're looking at the puppets.
We're having them play
yeah,
poker.
this puppet
one
is
of
in
them
a
is going to
poker
cheat.
visor.
Another one is going to shoot him.
That scene would have been 30 seconds long in the 2024 Gremlins remake. And it
Yeah.
only would have been that long because they're like, well, we got to put in the fucking bar scene with the Gremlins.
Yeah. And Gizmo would be voiced by Mark Hamill instead of Howie Mandel
No,
as he is.
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt, God. No,
Anyway,
Chris
we should do the
Pratt plays the
spoilers.
absent dad, I feel like. I don't know. Whatever.
The
We gotta do
inventive
spoilers.
dad.
We gotta do spoilers so we can talk about the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you haven't watched the movie yet and you want to and you care about spoilers, then don't listen after this part because we're gonna recap the movie and then talk about spoilers.
That's right.
40-year-old
So-
movie, by the way.
So get out of
40-year-old
here
movie.
and then come back later. Okay, I'm gonna do it now. I'm gonna read the Wikipedia.
Wikipedia.
And if you hear the spoilers, it's your own fault.
It's your own fault. Okay. Struggling inventor Randall Peltzer visits a Chinatown antique store to find a Christmas present for his son, Billy. In it, Randall uncovers a small and furry creature called a mogwai, which apparently in Cantonese means devil. The owner, Mr. Wing, refuses to sell it to Randall, but his grandson secretly does, warning Randall to remember 3 important rules concerning the mogwai. Do not expose the creature to light, especially sunlight, which will kill it. Do not let it come in contact with water, and above all, never let it eat after midnight. In Randall's hometown of Kingston Falls, Billy works at the local bank, but fears that his dog Barney will be put down by widowed miser Ruby Deagle. His father returns and offers him the mogwai, now named Gizmo, as a pet, and instructs him the 3 rules. Gizmo is friendly and docile, but when Billy's friend Pete Fontaine accidentally spills water on Gizmo, 5 more mogwai spawn from him, a more mischievous sort led by the aggressive Stripe, named after the white mohawk-like tuft of fur on his head. Billy shows one of the mogwai to his former elementary school science teacher, Roy Hansen, spawning another mogwai, who the latter experiments on. Back at home, Stripe and his fellow mogwai trick Billy into feeding them after midnight by severing the power cord on his alarm clock. They form cocoons, as does Hansen's mogwai, which soon hatch, emerging as destructive and reptilian monsters called Gremlins. Hansen is murdered by his gremlin, while the gremlins at the Peltzer house torture Gizmo and assault Billy's mother, Lynn. She and Billy are able to dispatch them sans Stripe, who escapes to the local YMCA, where he jumps into its swimming pool, spawning an army of gremlins that wreak havoc on Kingston Falls. Many locals are injured or outright killed by the rampage, including Deagle. The police are helpless in the ordeal, as they too fall victim to the gremlins' mischief. After Billy rescues his co-worker and crush, Kate Barringer, and they seek refuge in the bank, Kate discloses to him and Gizmo that her father went missing on Christmas Eve when she was 9 years old, but was then found dead in their house's fireplace several days later. Planning to surprise his family while portraying Santa Claus, he accidentally slipped and broke his neck while climbing down the chimney. Still suffering from PTSD due to the incident, Kate confesses how this led to her disdain for the holidays. Billy and Kate spot the gremlins watching Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs in the local theater. The pair sets off a natural gas explosion, killing most gremlins except for Stripe, who has a gun. Who left the theater earlier to retrieve candy at the Montgomery Ward store across the street. As morning approaches, they follow Stripe into the store, where he attempts to use a fountain to spawn more gremlins. Gizmo opens a nearby skylight, exposing Stripe to sunlight and killing him. As the local news reports on the day's mysterious tragedies, Mr. Wing arrives at the Peltzer house to reclaim Gizmo. He scolds the family for their negligence and criticizes Western society for its carelessness with nature. However, as he turns to leave, Gizmo, having bonded with Billy, bids him goodbye. A compassionate Wing then concedes that Billy may be ready to properly care for him one day. And that's the movie.
Can I say something that jump scared me while watching this?
Yeah.
There's a scene in the police station, and it cut to the deputy, and I realized abruptly that it was Jonathan Banks. Who plays Mike Irvin.
Really?
Yeah.
I was like,
Wait,
holy shit,
wait
that's
a
Mike
minute.
Ehrmantraut.
Hold on a second here.
His
Nuh-uh.
voice is distinctive once you figure out that it's him. He just starts to sound like Mike.
It was literally Nina said, "Oh my god, that's Mike Ehrmantraut," and I'm like, "What?" And then he did the Mike monotone voice. Careful, he'll rip your arm out of its socket. And I'm like, "Holy shit, that's Mike!"
Oh my god. What the
Yeah.
fuck?
He yeah. He's got hair, so it's kind of It
Oh
takes
my
a second.
god, yeah, that is him. I didn't recognize him at all.
Yeah,
That's
same.
hilarious.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's
Way to go, Mike Ehrmantraut.
yeah, other than that, nothing about this movie surprised me other than the gun thing. You got me again when you see Spike who has a gun.
Yeah, God.
Damn, he sure does. Where did they get them? Where did they get the guns?
Where did they get the guns?
From the cops.
They just
Yeah.
get shit whenever they need it.
They're gremlins. They do what they want.
Gremlins.
They
I was
love
very
Snow White.
confused. They did. They were having a
They
great
had
time.
a great time. They love dwarves.
Yeah. I was very confused by the inclusion of Pete Fontaine, Billy's
Yeah, what
friend
is his name said
that
like
spills
that?
the water. I don't know. It says it in the
Why is that
Wikipedia,
his
so that's what I'm
name?
going off of. But like when he appeared in the movie, I was like, okay, is this like his little brother or something? And then
Just some kid.
through context clues, it's like, no, it's not his little
Weird
brother.
age gap for them to just
I'm like,
be
who the fuck is
friends,
this
right?
kid? And why are they? He's like 18. Why is he hanging out with like a 9
He
or 10
works at
year
a
old?
Come
bank
on, he's
with
just
his dog.
he's just the old Christmas tree lot guy's kid who dresses as a Christmas tree.
Yeah, were you not friends with your local Christmas
See,
tree
and
kid?
especially when you're like when they're both only childs, because it's like here's the thing, I was and am friends with a lot of people who are like up to 9 years younger than me because my little sisters have friends. And my little sister's friends wanted to be friends with me. And I was like, sure, whatever. So, like, that's how that happened for me. But I can't imagine if I didn't have little siblings ever talking to someone who
Yeah.
was 9 years younger than me as an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was weird. It was a weird relationship, but
good for them.
beyond that.
They,
Small town,
maybe they bonded over. You know, something I really appreciated? I really enjoyed the relationship between the mom and dad. I thought it was really cute. How he's got all these
Yeah.
busted ass inventions, and both
she's just doing her
Billy
best with
and
him.
the mom both give them all genuine shots, even when he's not there. They're like, who knows? Maybe it'll work this time. Or when she tries to make coffee with the coffee machine, and she passes it to him, and she's like, I don't know if you should drink that, and he's like, why not? And he's like letting it drip out of the spoon. I thought that was really, really
It is a
cute.
nice family dynamic.
I'm really impressed by some of these inventions, though, because, like, that orange squeezer, that shit spits out more juice and more pulp than a single orange can possibly contain. How the fuck does that thing work? Same with the smokeless
It's so
ashtray.
scary.
It is producing so much smoke. No single cigarette can produce that much smoke by itself. What is this thing doing?
What is it doing?
I'm fascinated, you know?
Where is he fitting all of the fluids that go in the bathroom, buddy?
What exactly
What
is the
he
utility of the
inventing?
bathroom, buddy? Is it just that you have...
He explained it quite clearly, Jade.
It's so clearly.
Well, but, like, you can...
Let's say that you haven't shaved in a couple of days.
Sure, this
and
has been
you're
known to
about
happen.
and you have a presentation coming up, but oops, you're at your place of business and you don't have a razor. Well, guess what? And
But
then,
if I've
the
got
razor
room in
goes.
my pocket for this giant ass bathroom, buddy, that appears to be what, like 3 inches by
Ass
3
bathroom.
inches by 6 inches? Huge.
Yeah.
But Jade, back then you didn't have cell phones, so you had a whole pocket that's basically free for a
That's
That is
true.
so
And
true,
people,
actually.
people didn't even like carry around water bottles back then either. It was really just wallet in one pocket and then that's it.
Raw dog in it.
I was about
Jesus
to say, people
Christ.
used to raw dog living.
People really lived like that, yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
On that note of the family dynamic, I also really liked, and someone else in a letterbox review pointed this out. I appreciated how competent the mom was at taking out gremlins when she first faced off against them.
Yeah.
She like nailed
Yeah.
3 of those suckers before one of them caught her off guard in the tree.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the fact that she
that was
kills them
impressive.
so brutally as well. Like, the one she literally just cuts apart with a knife. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And that's not even talking about the one that she
She's
put into that,
hardcore.
like, shredder machine. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
This woman is
The
kind of a
green
badass.
gunk.
Like,
Honestly.
Mm-hmm.
We stand.
honestly, yeah.
Literally, she did that, and Nina's like, "Oh my god, best final girl we've ever had. I love this lady." And then she disappears for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but that's
Yeah.
because
She's too good at killing gremlins. They
Yeah.
could not keep her around.
She would have just been
She would
John
have killed
Wick for
all
the
of
rest
them.
of the movie, right?
They're like, we've got another Ripley on our hands. We gotta hide her away.
Yeah. I also enjoy the physical comedy in this movie a lot. When they launch Deagle, okay, first of all, when the gremlins come upon Deagle's house and they all go Deagle, Deagle, Deagle.
Yeah.
Very good. And then when they launch her out the window with her stairs, that killed me. Also, the fear in Jonathan Banks' voice, where he's like, "Maybe we should just go. I don't think we can handle this. We should probably just go, Frank." Also,
Yeah.
incredibly good.
I want to go back to the station.
Yeah.
Dead meat. I know you listen to this. Where's my kill count for gremlins?
Did they not have
You
one?
know?
Yeah.
No.
Do they not? I'm
No.
gonna at James A. Janice.
Don't do that.
I
They have an
bet-
official submission form.
I will
bet
fill out the submission form.
No,
James
just
and
Adam.
Chelsea don't consider this to be a horror movie.
That's not true.
Is it not true?
Nope.
Okay.
I think they probably just haven't gotten to it.
They've covered it on the podcast, I think, twice.
Have it twice? Jesus.
I'm
Even
filling
Dead and
out that
Lovely only
submission
did
form.
it once.
Well, it's this and the second one.
Ah.
And the second one was in a greater conversation
Hmm.
about trans people in horror.
Oh,
In Gremlins 2?
what?
Well, the gremlins are all they reproduce asexually, but there's a lady gremlin in the next one.
Oh,
There's a lady gremlin.
Oh, shit. Okay.
And there's an electricity gremlin and a bat
There was
gremlin.
also a quasi
Gremlin in
lady
drag
gremlin
in this one.
right? Yeah, there was the I
Mhm.
registered it as the cross-dressing gremlin myself, but
Yep.
like
Call her what you want. She's there.
we don't know how committed she is
Oh.
to the whole thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
What we know for sure
Trans
is
rights
that she's
gremlin.
dead either way. Because they
Yeah, that's
killed all
true.
the gremlins.
There's this great review on Letterboxd where this person says, "Why is it that when people talk about strong female characters in movies, they never mention Billy's mom fucking executing 3 gremlins within seconds
No
of finding
hesitation.
That's the one I saw.
Yeah.
Yep. She
That's
is my
so
hero.
good.
I love her. She's also gorgeous. Call me Mrs. What was it?
Peltzer.
Pinsker? Peltzer. Call me Mrs. Peltzer.
You want her to cheat on Rand like that?
I couldn't do Rand like that. I actually love Rand.
I don't think
Here's the
Rand
thi-
would
okay,
notice.
Rand is
So
such
let
a
me- that is so true.
fantastic piece of shit, isn't he? I've been talking about this with a couple of different people lately, that I love a piece of shit character, and it just happens that salesmen happen to do this really well. Like, I'm doing it this week. Harold Hill from The Music Man and Randall Peltzer
No!
from this
Wow.
movie are just such perfect pieces of shit in the way that, like, they just keep happening into situations and all they can think to do is sell the bullshit that they've got in their briefcase.
I don't think that
I
he's a
love
piece
it.
of shit in this
He's
movie.
absolutely a piece of shit. Come on.
What do you mean?
He knows
he's
his
an
inventions
independent
don't work.
inventor. No, he's so sure that they do
I
work
think
because
he's
they do
delusional,
work at
yeah.
first.
Because if he wasn't, then why would he have them all around his own home?
Yeah.
That's my
No,
main
what
thought.
he doesn't realize, his sin is not knowing how over his head he is, which he learns as soon as he goes to Inventicon, where he sees working robots and other people, and he's like, yeah, honey, I wasn't really... There's some stiff competition out here.
With that in mind, actually, there are a few things I want to say about what I expected from this movie versus what I got.
Yes.
The first is that I expected Gizmo to be a bad guy, and
Yep.
he wasn't. I expected him to be annoying, and he wasn't. I expected the rules to be blatantly ignored. I expected specifically Rand to not pass them along with any weight behind them, because he's so dismissive when the kid tells him. But when he communicates them to Billy, he's dead serious. He says them about as importantly as the kid did. And I was like really surprised by that, because I was convinced that he was going to be like, yeah, and the kid said something about not feeding him after midnight. What do I know? But instead he was like, and this is very
This is
important. Don't feed them
serious.
after midnight. And I'm like, damn, okay.
And then it's through them sabotaging that they end up getting
it's through
fed
them
after midnight.
sabotaging.
They make it happen.
Yeah.
That's the thing that
Yeah.
I'm really interested in, is there is this fundamental difference between Gizmo and the offspring Mogwai, where they have this like desire to become the Gremlins. It seems they have the desire to become evil, to engineer their circumstances, whereas he simply does not. What's this?
I
Nina?
think it has to do with what Mr. Wing was saying about taking care of nature.
Yeah.
Because Gizmo is cared for and has enough time that he's been around that he's cared for, where he is consistently his needs are acknowledged. Like when they walk into a place with light and he freaks out, Billy very quickly turns out whatever lights are there. He makes sure that he listens to Gizmo singing, he puts on TV that Gizmo enjoys. Like, he's very respectful of what Gizmo needs and wants. When he spills water on him, it's a complete accident. Like, I think that it is a conscious thing where when Gizmo is offered food, he knows it's after midnight, and he knows that if he wanted to, but he doesn't want to because he doesn't have anything that he wants for. But with the offspring, they haven't been around that long, and Billy is out of his depth by that point and
yeah.
can't really care for all of them.
Stripe just found
and
out
isn't
about guns and he
responsible enough.
wants one.
Exactly. And no one's here to gentle parent
He
him.
saw Die Hard and he was like, yes.
No one's here to gentle parent Stripe and be like, no, we don't shoot our friends.
Also, what about the fucking Iron Giant Superman moment where Gizmo's driving around in the fucking Barbie car?
Oh,
And it's got that, with great power comes great responsibility echoing through his head. He's like, yeah. And he's about to go, I don't know, run Stripe over or whatever. He's not going to do anything.
I love him. He's doing his best and he does save the day. So
He does save the day.
jot that down. Also, I think I've said this on the podcast before. If you make a little creature, like Gizmo is a great example, and then you go through all the trouble of drawing or depicting that creature in tears, I am coming for you. Oh my God, do not show me sad Gizmo again. I cannot take it.
Once
Oh,
again,
after
this
they
is
spill the water
mirroring
on
things
him.
that Becca was saying while we were watching it. During that scene where they have him like pinned up on the dartboard, she was just like, no, leave him alone.
He's just a baby.
He's just a little guy.
Yeah.
Versus like Stripe and the other gremlins. I'll say I don't think that they made the other gremlins ugly enough that I was thrilled to see them dying when they started dying. I was like, really? They're just gonna mark them all like
They
that?
kill them so hard, right? Like,
They literally do a like Hellraiser fucking thing at the end with Stripe.
yeah.
They melt the shit out
They
of that
melt the
guy.
shit out
I
of
was
him.
like, holy fuck.
Oh, I was going to say something. So I don't remember if we talked about this pre-recording or on recording, where we were like, PG-13 was in part created
I
because
think that's
of
during the
Gremlins.
I think
episode that we
during.
said that, yeah.
Okay, incredible. Well, did you know in Canada there's no PG-13?
Yeah, they've got
Is
a
it just
separate rating
Gremlins?
system, right?
Yeah, there's like PG and R, and I think there's like a
There's something 14, isn't there?
there's like a 15.
There we go, yeah.
But that's not used very often. Most of the time it's just PG or R. And so we would go and see stuff, and I was like, I'd buy tickets and I'd be like, wow, I didn't realize this was R. I thought it would be like PG-13. And then that kept happening, and I was like, wait, does PG-13 exist up here? And it does not.
Doesn't. You say fuck even once.
Yeah.
R.
Okay, so there's G, PG, 14A, which means like persons under 14 must be accompanied by an adult. Then there's 18A, and then there's R. I don't know the difference between 18A and R. I guess R movies you can't bring anybody under 18 to. Like even if you're the parent.
Interesting.
But
I like that.
yeah,
Literally
I was
1984.
really surprised.
Gremlins?
And that's my fun fact.
That is a fun fact. I
My
did
fun
not
fact
know
I wanted
that.
to talk about. Yeah.
I don't know if I've got anything else to say about this movie, y'all.
It's just a really good one.
It's just kind of fun.
You know, it's
and
It's just
good at what it
fun.
is, but it's the comedy like issue where it's really difficult to talk about a comedy without just talking about what made it funny by saying this bit was really funny
there's
7 times in a row.
A lot
you
of
know?
it that like in a certain Christmas comedy kind of way, just sort of doesn't make a ton of sense.
Mhm.
But you have to just accept it. Like, you know, the fact that our main character is a kid who has a job at a bank and he just brings his dog there. But
Yeah.
everyone says he's not supposed to, but we're given no indication that this is abnormal for him.
Yeah. Also, when did he destroy the snowman? Was I just not watching?
That's
or did
not
she just,
covered in
like-
the movie. It is not shown.
She claims he did it.
in
We
the
watched
deleted
most of their
scenes.
walk
Did
to
it.
the fucking place.
Yeah.
I don't believe that he did that. Justice for my man.
He would never.
He would
Not
never.
Barney. That dog's real name is
Not
Mushroom.
Barney. Oh,
Oh my god.
Yeah.
oh my god.
Mushroom?
Mushroom.
I love him. He was so happy to be there. You could tell the whole
He was so
fucking
happy to
time.
be there. This actually something I found myself thinking throughout the movie was every time the dog was on screen, I would just be like, wow, dogs were not consistently very good actors back then, huh? Because you can tell this boy knows he's in front of a camera and he is excited.
Yeah. He's having
And
a
there's
great
way
time.
worse
Having a-
problems to have, but like
Oh yeah.
modern dog actors act very different from old-timey dog actors, and I never realized
thing-
it until now.
I still think about the thing dog who is just too into his job. I appreciate him.
He's a method actor. Jed was a method actor dog, you know? He acted weird by being a weird dog.
Unlike Mushroom.
Not like Mushroom. Mushroom was just here to have a good time, and we love him.
Are we ready for Noah's notes?
It feels kind of quick in
I'm
the
down.
actual movie discussion to be hitting Noah's notes.
But that's why we did the length. We knew it
We
was going to
knew it
be
would
Yeah,
be
really,
short.
yeah. Peek behind the curtain for our listeners. We extended the Ghouls segment because we knew we wouldn't have a lot to say about the movie.
I almost
Yeah.
said
My bad.
maybe we should do the extended bit at the end just in case.
No.
And then I'm like, nah, because if that's the case, the
Nah.
extended bit will not be as good.
Yeah. Okay. Noah says, quoting me when the movie started, I said, isn't this movie super Orientalist? And then Noah says the movie has the most comically Orientalist old man immediately.
Nina says this to me, and I'm like, I don't fucking know. And Nina's like, well, sorry. And I'm like, I literally know nothing about this movie other than there's gremlins and they wreck shit.
But in the time it
And
took
don't
you
get
to
'em
say
wet.
that, he showed
Yes.
up
Yes.
on the screen.
Literally, in the time it took me to say that, they go into the basement shop, and I'm like, oh my god.
Noah says the engine turning over in sync with the music goes crazy. In reference to the bug, he did spell engine without an e.
Shut
I
the fuck
actually
up, I was typing fast.
engine.
If you put the thing there, I can type the E.
Noah says,
Oh my god, Chirky's here.
Jerky is
Get it out of the
here.
way.
Was the grink there?
Wouldn't you
Noah
chirpy
says-
eye?
Noah says Gizmo is such a well-behaved guy.
There's
Yeah.
got to be like 10 notes about well-behaved Gizmo. I have like a page and a half of notes.
He's
It
a
was
pleasure to
minimal
have in
note
class.
movie.
He is. Noah says, these inventions suck ass, man. You don't get to see a crackpot inventor husband anymore. SMH my head.
Very
Me
true.
about Caraticus pots, for real.
We've got a number
I love
of
me.
things in this movie that you don't see all that much in movies. The crackpot inventor, the evil pool, you know?
Yeah, true.
Mhm.
Noah says, these new ones aren't anything like Gizmo. And Noah says, that's because they're babies. I do agree with that. I think that maybe you should have started parenting the little ones a little bit more. Noah says... Noah says Mr. Flungelman or whatever just sucks ass, man. And then he corrects himself in the next line with Futterman, LOL.
Yeah, that guy in that movie is in fact John Fetterman himself.
John.
It shows.
Noah says Gizmo is the only responsible adult in this whole movie.
Honestly.
Real.
Noah says Nina's mourning the loss of practical effects with how goopy these egg sacs are, and for good reason. Yeah,
These
I
things are
talked a lot
goop.
about how much I like that. Noah says
Pretty cool.
these gremlins are kind of sick with it, though. Then Noah says, all caps, microwaving a gremlin?
And he explodes. He just
does.
explodes in there.
Noah says that's a really good miniature set, hot damn, to the stop motion crowd of gremlins walking down the miniature street.
Fantastic, yeah.
Noah says, oh, it's Mr. Flumpton. Stop it.
Flumped.
I just didn't care about him, man.
Noah says, lady, why are you still tending bar? I don't think they're paying.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like, why is she trying to work like this is still normal? She's acting as though they're just some abnormally ill-behaved customers.
Noah says, Sleeping Beauty is a drop I didn't expect at all. My love, did you mean Snow White?
Yes.
Noah doesn't know the difference between classic Disney cartoons.
Yes.
Noah says Stripe with the gun is hilarious. Agreed.
It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Noah says,
So good.
love this dude coming in and saying, I warned you. Like, kinda, your grandkid gave a list of rules, but no one said why you should or shouldn't follow them. The consequences of the shit are maybe something you'd want to include in the warning, in my opinion. This is something that I actually kind of hate. This is as someone who has worked under minimal training in retail at several different jobs. I do not care for the what do you think argument when people give you rules. When you ask for a clarification or a reasoning behind, maybe this is just me being neurodivergent.
Be clear,
but I'm like,
communicate clearly if it
just
is
tell me.
important.
I'm not being argumentative. I just want to know clearly how big the risk is so that if I do fuck up, I know what I need to do next. Because I'm not perfect and I'm not going to try to fuck shit up, but shit might get fucked. Or someone under my care might fuck the shit up. And then what do I do?
If the situation is high stakes, everyone involved needs as much information as possible. This is obvious.
That is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I don't appreciate the idea of like in this case, I feel like it's the idea of like faith, of like you should respect the person giving you these rules enough to have faith in the fact that they are telling you the truth that something bad will happen. I know something bad will happen. I believe it.
Yeah.
No one in this movie acted as if they didn't think something bad would happen if any of these things went down. But if you said, hey, don't put water on them, they reproduce asexually, and when you have a bunch of them, they're really hard to take care of, and the risk of them having issues goes crazy, maybe the kid would have been even more careful with him around water. If you say, hey, don't feed them after midnight, they will go psycho and like start killing people, then maybe I wouldn't have even taken a risk. But he still didn't. He thought he had time.
To Mr. Wing himself, when he didn't offer any information, it was because he wasn't gonna sell Gizmo.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm talking about the kid mostly at this point.
The kid's obviously fucking up on numerous levels.
I have to assume the kid
He
knows.
sold Gizmo, among other things.
Poor Gizmo.
Also, $200 in 84 has a buying power of like $630 today.
That's like $1 million when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if y'all noticed the slight aside in the news broadcast when they're talking about the people who died on Christmas Eve. They refer to Mrs. Deedle as wife of convicted stock swindler.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry, widow of convicted stock swindler.
Yeah, I did catch that, yeah.
I thought that was so funny.
It is, honestly. To say it like that on the news even. Like, do any of you guys know about the Mogwai as like a mythological creature?
No.
They are...
I actually didn't know anything about the Gremlins going into this movie.
So the Mogwai are
Wikipedia says some
actually
stuff, but
a
I'll let
creature
you
with
handle
some
it.
folklore around it. And I don't actually... You may as well start reading off of the Wikipedia here, actually, because I don't know a ton other than what we get in this movie is not super tightly kept to any particular folklore. I think the thing with water is drawn from a thing in the stories that says that like they mate when it rains or something like this. But
interesting.
The existence of the Mogwai as a creature is a thing with like further reaching roots and such. It's just not really getting fully delved into in this actual story. Mostly just makes me think of the band, and honestly, it just makes me want to listen to them again. Good band. Cool music.
I used to really love May Nothing But Happiness Come Through Your Door or whatever. I think that was the track that I knew.
Mm-hmm.
It was really
I like Take Me
neat.
Somewhere Nice. That song's pleasant as hell.
Just pleasant music.
Mm-hmm.
That does conclude Noah's notes, though.
That's
I
it.
hear that Mogwai played the
okay,
absolute loudest show that a lot of people have ever heard, which makes me wonder if they're louder than Sun.
Or do they just not have an overlapping fan base?
Yeah, it's one of those two. Nobody's louder than Sun, surely, right? Like,
Anyway, next time we'll be talking about humanist vampire seeking consenting suicidal person.
yeah.
I'm very excited about this one. I've
excited.
heard very good things. It seems like it's up my alley, so I'm pumped.
Well, you do write about vampires.
I do write about vampires, among other things. So, until then,
And if people wanted to read about your vampires,
yeah, there's a
where
lot
would
of
they do
places you can
that?
find it. Actually, I have a whole separate link tree for my vampire book because I have it in so many different formats. You can find it at bitwbook.carrd.co. So that's where I have all of my different frickin' formats for that. It's free in ebook format in several different locations. It's 99 cents on Kindle. It's $10 on paperback and $25 for the special edition hardcover that is illustrated and has a special bonus short story. So if you want to find any of that, you can probably also find it through my social media, which is at Nina Wolverina on Blue Sky, on Instagram. I have been streaming on Twitch a little bit, but I'm not gonna for the next month or so because I got shit going on. You can also find the podcast at Casual Horror Pod on Blue Sky.
Casualhorrorpod.com.
.com on Blue Sky, which is also our website where you can find articles that Noah has written, and other things soon. And also, if you want to join the podcast Discord, you can tag us, message us, whatever, on whatever social media. Any one of us will help you get into that.
Yep. Anyway, I'm
Yep.
Noah. You can find me as Bubba the Bad, BUBBADABAD, on Blue Sky and Letterboxd, and you can find me on casualhorrorpod.com as current Prime contributor, hopefully not the only contributor before the year's out. Who knows? I'm working on an article about martyrs right now. It is almost done. So keep your eyes open.
Nice. Pretty cool.
I really love martyrs.
I gotta watch it.
It's on Tubi.
Oh.
The shitty remake is on Tubi. You should not
I'm not
watch
gonna
that.
watch that. I'm gonna watch the regular.
Mhm.
But I have been Jade. You can find me on Tumblr at What Is It You Pray For, and on Letterboxd at The Fakest Fan.
Incredible. And I'm Emma, also known as Emma Panada. You can find me on the Discord. Come hang.
You can find all of us on the Discord.
But-
Come hang.
You can.
Yeah. But thanks so much, everybody. We appreciate you hanging out. Be sure to check out our website as we post stuff soonish.
Yeah.
And read the stuff that Noah has written, because that's all there is on there right now.
For now.
For now.
For now.
For
Okay.
now.
Well, we'll see you later. Goodbye.
Bye.
Gremlin noises.
Just seen a screenshot from Emma's favorite Marvel offshoot, What If, season 3, that's apparently
Fuck
coming
What
out.
I hate that show so
I
goddamn
hate that
much.
goddamn show.
What's wrong with it?
I've
It's
never
just
more
sucks.
passionately hated a show that other people like.
It's bad. It's just
Do
bad.
you want me to get into it, Jade? I'll rant.
Not a whole rant, but just like a quick little, like a bullet list, maybe.
For one, I think the animation style they decided to go with is horribly atrocious and ugly. And I
It's
don't know
ugly as
why
hell.
they decided to go with it. Additionally, every episode is a different kind of like what if scenario.
Right.
And they're like 30 minutes to an hour, most of the time like 30, 40 minutes. And they're just like such dog shit kind of takes on situations.
Yeah, they're literally
where-
like the dumbass fanboy being like, wouldn't it be crazy if Hank Pym like murdered everyone for some reason? And it's like, I guess it would be. I don't want that, but okay.
It's the
So
shitty
all of them are
superhero
based-
equivalent of fucked up concept, right, bro? Horror movies.
Yeah. So all of them are based on like the MCU and MCU characters
Right.
that have a lot of development for them, and the characters, even in movies where like a character isn't like fleshed out incredibly well, there's still like a good bit of design around them and a character around them.
Yeah.
But one episode that's so egregiously annoying to me is they had a what if episode where it was like, what if instead of Peter Quill, T'Challa, Black Panther, was the one who was kidnapped by aliens and brought up into space. So basically, what if T'Challa was Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy? And they're like, if this happened, and then
Oh my god, and then Peter Quill
The
is Black
premise-
Panther?
no. The premise was like, oh, if T'Challa was Star-Lord, he actually just was able to sit down with Thanos and convince him not to do all the homicide stuff.
What?
And
That's dumb.
yes, like very quick throwaway, like
Why would Star-Lord
Thanos
T'Challa
fights
be able to
with
do that
Star-Lord
when regular
now.
T'Challa couldn't?
yeah, great question.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
yeah, all right.
They're like Thanos is T'Challa's like buddy sidekick now, and they joke like, oh, remember when you had all those plans to kill half the universe? And he's like, yeah, well then T'Challa sat down with me and I just understood that that's bad. And
Someone's gotta
like
stop this guy.
all of the fucking premises are just so goddamn brain dead and
Okay.
discard like everything, all of the character and ideas that the movies set up just for like little gags. And it's so dumb and it's so ugly and I hate it.
Okay.
Yep.
A lot.
So just
That's
like
the whole
squandering
thing.
its whole premise and shit then. Wow, that's...
Yeah.
The premise does, I would argue the premise is inherently shitty, because the Marvel as a fandom has only ever generated that kind of take. N64 and Dave and I were talking about Squirrel Girl and how the whole reason she exists is because of shitty fanboys.
It's to make fun of power scaling and shit, right?
To make fun of power scaling and to make fun of how bleak the Marvel universe was, because they wanted to just write fun superhero stories again.
Yeah?
So it's like, that's the kind of point that we're at with Marvel, where it's like the only places you can take it are the incredibly like cynical kind of like schlocky route, which is frustrating. Anyway.
Well, especially because it used to be everyone knew that you went to Marvel for fun and you went to DC for serious.
Yeah.
You know?
We went to X-Men
Okay,
for
no,
a good
I'm
mix
really
of both.
I'm really glad you said that, because Jade, I imagine this is happening for you too. Whenever you talk for more than like 3 seconds, Noah, you cut out.
Yeah, this is happening a
That's-
lot. I've missed an
And
awful lot
then
of things
we
that
don't
you've said,
hear
and I've just kind
you
of
for,
agreed
like,
with you and hoped for the best.
Another 2 to 5 seconds.
Well, that's really weird, and I don't know why that's happening. Mostly because it shouldn't be doing that.